Yo, bum fights tonight. Top 20 scariest but funny bum fights. Just finished the podcast. Good timing. Perfect. Howdy. Hey, what's up, Brianna? How art thou? I love this podcast. It's really my favorite of all I've ever found. Thank you, Schmeichel. Schmeichel Schmearer. Schmerpsch. Schmerpity derpsch. You start a scary animation channel. I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. Well, I'm not really trying too hard, but I'd like to. I just beat a game and I can't stand unskippable credits. Yeah, unskippable credits is kind of weird. How was the grass? Did I touch some grass outside? Is that what I did? And now I'm free. There wasn't enough ketamine outside to really warrant me exiting my home. Good to hear, Brianna. Glad you're doing well. Me, I'm definitely doing. I think Sunday I am going to try to stream a little bit earlier, maybe at like 7 p.m. EST, which is like 5 hours earlier than this right now. But I don't know. I want to have a normal sleep schedule just to feel not like a complete degenerate. Not that it's the worst thing in the world. It's just, I don't know. I want to have more time in my day, I feel like. Or at least maybe a perceived sense of more time. But I've said that before, huh? What you doing, homie? Yo, homie, what are you doing? I'm just chilling. Ever try to burp laying down? It feels really forced. Yeah, you gotta... I think my favorite is whenever you, like, are laying down and then you, like, get up and then there's just, like, a big burp gets, like, squished out of your mouth like a toothpaste tube. Blah. You're just like, oh, where'd that come from? Excuse me. You'll be asleep. Thank you, your British followers. I know. The Brits are not going to be happy with me. Like usual. You can never please them. You do one wrong thing, they want to ban you. They want to kill your dog. And turn it into a sort of a bit of a schmear that they put on their toast. Or turn into a bar of soap. You know, Apex makes me feel like the shittiest gamer ever. Yeah, I don't really like battle royales. I think they're stupid. And I think that they've created an unrealistic experience for gaming in general. Because it's kind of a newer phenomenon, to be honest with you, the Battle Royale experience. It's like specifically made just to kind of feed into the egotistical nature of like there can only be one. Which is perfect for like live streamers and stuff. You're a Brit, you're Welsh, and you're happy. The Welsh are happy. Anything below Welsh, unhappy. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying things. I'm saying words until something sticks. So till my words turn into sticky fly paper. It's already 5:21. I'm only up for work. Welcome. I know. I should be starting earlier. But who gives a fuck? Anyways, I haven't played that game in about 2 years. Everything looks different and people, oh my god, I can't have fun online anymore. Yeah, it's probably best just to play single player games and enjoy that experience. It's hard to get into those competitive nature games because you just kind of have to know life it for a while till you're a god. Below Welsh is like 1/8 of the UK or less. That's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the British people that built their villages under the water in the ocean. Not very happy folk. Drowning and whatnot. Everyone should hit the bell and like the stream. They should. Zelda's pretty dope. Zelda does look good. I think more people should play this, a little bit of Zelda pop. Whoops. Why you starters I go EPs? I just knew this is gonna help send you off to EP land. My cat came running over as soon as she heard Joel, and now she's rubbing her face on my phone. Aw, that's kind of awesome. See, I got that effect on furry creatures. They just want to be rubbing. They just want rubbed. You dislike the live service type games that are coming out now? I'd rather just have the complete games. No, for real, dude. I mean, I played Overwatch for so long and it turned into a live service game, and it's like pretty fucking obvious that like every new hero that they put out now is just like DLC heroes that hard carry the game. And they like specifically do that just so that you'll buy that month's battle pass, you know? And to me, that's just so cringe for a game that's like heavily oriented around balance. It's just fucking stupid, dude. I mean, they should just find other ways to motivate. Maybe if they actually balanced their game and didn't make it complete bullshit, people would be more inclined to spend money for it. If it, you know, whoever, what a wild, fantastical idea. How controversial. If you make your, you know, consumer base actually like you, maybe they'll spend money. PUBG ruined it all for us. I was perfectly happy playing through a single player storylines, and now I just get made fun of for it. I don't know, yeah, it's whatever. I remember playing PUBG and I got like one chicken dinner, and it was the most exhilarating, heart-pounding experience of my life. But then I never got it again, and I never really wanted to. I did appreciate PUBG's like ballistics as far as shooters go. Like, it was very realistic in that regard. And I wish they would have just had like sort of a third, like a more contained mode where they brought that ring really close to like a specific, because you could create all sorts of different maps and different things. And if you've ever played SOCOM, which was like the Navy SEAL game back in the day on PlayStation, that game was really popular because it was pretty much just Counter-Strike Go, where you plant a bomb and try to kill the enemy and stuff like that. I guess before CSGO. Well, maybe Counter-Strike was out then, I'm not sure, but CSGO definitely wasn't. But yeah, I kind of wish SOCOM had mission-based things like that, and I remember saying that and people were like, well, then it wouldn't be PUBG now, would it? I'm like, no, but PUBG sucks wieners, so fuck them. Some team-based PvPs are nice. Yeah, some. SOCOM is God. Yeah, it's been a long time. I remember SOCOM 3 came out on like PlayStation 3, and that did not turn out too well. The Haven map in PUBG is smaller, more urban, and less players. Well, that's true, yeah. I was just thinking more like objective-based things. Small teams, enclosed circle. You know, you don't even have to parachute in. You could just spawn in and have rounds of something. So, because one of the hardest things in that game is kind of like understanding your ballistics. Because, I don't know, I was just fucking terrible at aiming in that game, even whenever I thought I was like directly on somebody's head. So I think like more controlled experiences would have been a like easier way to like learn, you know, instead of, there's nothing I fucking hated more than like going in Like, you know, it takes like it would take multiple minutes to get into a match, and then you would just like instantly get gatted down because you didn't get a gun, and then it would just like back to the main menu, and it's like that. Like, what a stupid fucking concept. Dead to Rights, one of the best PS2 games. That was a good game. I do remember that. Dead to Rights. That was... Let me remember. That's the one where you could do Max Payne, like, jumping around and shit, right? Yeah, dude. Dead to Rights was fucking sick. It kind of had the slow motion Max Payne... Or no! No, or was it? You had a dog you could send in. I'm trying to remember, dude. Huh.
These brutalities can be initially shocking.
Okay, I guess it was more of a streamlined experience. I did play it though, but it's been fucking forever. I feel like it was one of those games that I rented and didn't get very far. What's the theme for tonight? It is Reddit, lay Reddit stories. We're just gonna let people roll in here. I'm kind of tired. Oh, no worries. The best mission was when you went to prison. Yeah, I like clicked on a video of it briefly just now, and I saw him like put a grenade in somebody and throw them in the air and blow them up into bits. And even though it was an older game, the graphics actually look pretty decent. I think that's what's really weird about modern gaming in general, is there used to be like these leaps and bounds in sort of like both gaming graphical fidelity, but also like ideas. And you don't really get that as much anymore. Like, I look at like Starfield, and I was looking at the combat, and initially I thought the combat looked pretty good, but then I was watching somebody do it, and I was like, all the characters are just like bullet sponges until they eventually just sort of like do a wildly insane ragdoll. And I'm just like, or like some sort of animation. And I don't know. I'm just like, damn, dude, you think like by now, after most of this shit being out for so long, that, I don't know, shit would just get better. Like constantly moving forward. But I just feel like in the gaming industry, we're at like some sort of like lateral standstill. Horror on the Rocks with the 2 says, cheers, my friend. Hope life is going well. Thank you. Same to you, Horror on the Rocks. Starfield's been amazing so far, to be honest. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I think I'll probably wait a while, maybe till it goes on sale, to kind of jump into it if I need something to occupy my mind. Bethesda combat is always terrible, though. Yeah, for some reason I vaguely recall Fallout 4 combat being not too bad and a little bit more reactive, because it's just strange, because I remember like when I played BioShock 1, the controls for that, or like at least the combat feedback, felt pretty visceral, especially with the hammer or the fucking wrench and the gunshots and stuff. And it's always just like weird to me that games don't, and especially when you play like a Rockstar game and they use all sorts of crazy physics and stuff. I'm like, has no one taken examples from this and thought maybe this would be the new standard, you know? Have you been playing Baldur's Gate 3? I have actually been playing it here and there. I usually play like an hour every couple nights with a friend, or a couple hours. It's like time goes by really fast in that game. You'll just do one thing and the whole night be gone. It's on Game Pass now. Okay, that's dope. Funeral Poppy, thank you. My boy. Game Pass works on PC. So does that mean it's free? Like if you have Game Pass, you just get it for free? That's kind of wild. You like Destiny 2's combat? That was pretty much just Halo. Everything about Destiny was just like sort of a reskinning of like all old Bungie Halo games. Even like the vehicle movement felt like identical to going around in like a Ghost. It's mostly their engine. It's not very combat savvy. You would think that they would be onto a new engine by now, but I gotta be honest with you, like it really seems as if though it's very difficult for game companies to produce new engines, or maybe it's too costly to use a separate one because you have to like pay that separate, I don't know, produce like what is it, Unreal 5 to use their engine and stuff. But it's weird, like the Call of Duty engine, that, you know, the one for Bethesda games, like they just really have not changed anything in a long time. And I guess if they can just continue to like modularly continue to move forward with it and no one complains that much, I don't know. You just think that they would invest, especially for like the next gen, you know, specific title. You think they would have like invested in like a new one, but it is what it is. Happy birthday, Tim. Hey, happy birthday, Tim. Tim Richards. They're waiting until supercomputers become more readily available. There's no point in building a new engine when it's going to be super outdated in 10 years. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that was the thought process on their game, 10 years ago. I figured at this point, I don't know. I'm sure it all makes sense in the logistical decisions that they make, but I'm just ready for the next shit, which I guess might be like VR. VR is probably the next big mover of things whenever that eventually catches on more so. Plus, they love their engine for certain aspects of the games, but I've been wanting them to get a new engine. The other side of the coin is that it might not feel like a Bethesda game. Right, it might not be a buggy fucking mess. And you think using the same engine for so long, they'd be pretty proficient at it, but I don't know. I'm just talking shit. I don't know fuck all about making video games. I know it's hard. And I think what they've done is absolutely fine. Oh, happy birthday, Paulie D as well. Everybody's birthday. Oh, that's true too. $70 for games. Like that's the dumbest thing. Like setting a new standard for prices, but not setting a new standard for gameplay quality. And a lot of like single player games, whenever they don't have multiplayer and they're like a new publisher, they'll charge like 40, to kind of like allow people to jump in there. Sure, I just like to complain about how long it takes. Well, that's weird too, is like, yeah, game development just takes so fucking long too. Why would these large publishers make new engines when people will buy incomplete games at full price? There is no incentive. Exactly, yeah. Until people start like voting with their dollar on particular things, no one's really gonna give a shit. I mean, in the same way that like I kind of got bored of Call of Duty after Black Ops came out. I was like, okay, it's you can clearly see that nothing about their games are gonna change, and then they still haven't changed really. And so I just stopped buying, and everybody keeps setting records, so it's like obviously my fucking money doesn't matter to them. I got big dollars. My big dollars should matter. I got the big dollars. It's like comedically large money. So lost, you're never gonna be a cool gamer. It's alright, it's just a form of entertainment really. It's just like kind of complaining about movies or, books. But gaming is kind of just, I guess, like a mixture of all of that, but I'm not even sure. What the fuck? I'm trying to fucking scoot my screen around. You guys ready for some motherfucking Reddit stories? You guys ready to get spooker-lookered? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, 10 stories exactly tonight. We'll keep it We're trying to keep it scrimple. I need you to say in your best Charlie White voice. Magazines. Charlie White. Is that from... Wait, Charlie White? I'm thinking of Charlie Day. Who's Charlie White? Just went Half-Life 3. They did release on the VR the Half-Life Alyx. I still have to beat that. That was a very novel and new experience, I'll be honest. But wearing VR stuff is a little disorienting. And also, like, the one annoying thing is, like, it's like $1,000 fucking dollars for the headset or whatever, like the Valve Index. But then they don't even have, I don't know, it's sometimes looking at shit, you like want to get down and get real close and see the details, and maybe it like adjusts its eyes for you so you can like see things in close-up detail, but it's like you are constantly adjusting the headset so it's not fucking blurry, and I'm like, this is some shit right here. Moist Critical. Oh, Charlie White's name is Moist Critical. Or no, Moist Critical's name is Charlie White. Did I swear to God I have fucking dyslexia? Like fucking Porky the Pig. Charlie White, name Moist Critical. I'm a woman in my 30s who lives alone in a small house at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac in the UK. The street is a maze of roads away from the main road, which means that, other than delivery guys and the occasional salesperson, you very rarely see anyone that you don't recognize. I don't exactly know all my neighbors, but I know what they look like and I know where they live. I can recognize their cars and all that kind of stuff. This weirdness happened over the space of a few months several years back. I work from home, so I'm usually in, and sometimes I don't have a lot to do. The first day was about... The first day was one of those lazy days. It was about 4 p.m. and I'm sitting on the sofa watching some daft stuff about alien cover-ups or something. Someone knocked on the door. I have a surveillance camera hidden in the wooden canopy above the front door, so I checked to see who it was because I was expecting any... I have a surveillance camera hidden in the wooden canopy above the front door, so I checked to see who it was because I wasn't expecting any deliveries and I couldn't be bothered to deal with a salesperson. It was a woman who looked late 40s to early 50s, very smartly dressed, like really expensive clothes and jewelry, stuff I could never afford. Most people around here generally couldn't afford it either. We're not an affluent area, and this lady stuck out like a sore thumb. She looked flustered and agitated, glancing towards the back garden before trying to look through the tiny frosted glass window on the front door. I noticed that she was carrying a dog's lead, but I didn't see a dog on it. As it happens, at the far side of my back garden, there are 2 hedges. There's the hedge that I own with my property boundaries, and there's a second hedge outside my boundary that's council-owned along a small grassland where people walk dogs. I know for a fact that there is a hole in the council-owned hedge, which I've reported to the council at least a dozen times over the past decade, and they've done the square root of sod all about it. Because of my hedge, I can't reach to... Fuck. I can't do sod about it. I can't do motherfucking sod. I can sod on. Because of my hedge, I can't reach it Because of my hedge, I can't reach it to do anything about it myself. Consequently, when I saw the dog's lead, I thought, a better dog has gone through the hole. If it's a big dog, it's not getting into my garden, but if it's a small dog, it might be able to work its way through, and I've always got some cooked meat, so I figured that I might be able to lure it out. Fuck, that's a long fucking sentence. Long-ass British sentence. Jesus fuck. If it's a big dog, it's not getting into my garden, but if it's a small dog, it might be able to work its way through, and I've always got some cooked meat, so I figured that I might be able to lure it out. Lured it out. Jesus fuck. If it's a big dog, it's not getting into my garden, but if it's a small dog, it might be able to work its way through, and I've always got some cooked meat, so I figured that I might be able to lure it out. Why can I not say this? Lure it out. I might be able to lure it out. Lure. How is that a tongue twister? I guess it is. If it's a big dog, it's not getting into my garden, but if it's a small dog, it might be able to work its way through, and I've always got some cooked meat, so I figured that I might be able to lure it out. I am a dog lover, so of course I want to help this woman if I can. When I was a kid, my own dog went missing for a few weeks, and I thought that I was never going to get him back. I was heartbroken for those weeks, but fortunately we did get him back, and ever since I've been extremely sensitive to pets in need. I open the door and this woman gives me the weirdest look, like she was expecting someone completely different to answer the door and that I shouldn't be there. To be fair to her, my mom used to live here too, so I didn't think too much of that weird look to begin with. Maybe she was expecting my mom. I say hello, and she just stares at me for the longest 30 seconds before she tries to look past me and asks to see Margaret. I don't know what it is about other people's mistakes, but whenever someone has the wrong number, I always end up apologizing as if though it's my fault. So that's what I did. Apologized and told her that there was no Margaret at this address. Again, she gives me that look, only this time there's anger behind it. Yes, there is, she insists. It occurs to me at this point that I have a relative called Margaret, but she lives about 60 miles away and I haven't seen her in years. Nonetheless, just in case she's got her addresses muddled, I ask, "Are you looking for Margaret?" And I say their surname. But she just hisses at me. "You know exactly who I'm looking for. What have you done with her?" I'm absolutely lost at this point. I've lived here 20 years and I know the name of the previous owner, so I know she's not asking for them. I also know the names of the neighbors and the names of the people who have lived on the street in the time that I've been here and since moved. None of them are called Margaret. So all I do is tell her that she's got the wrong address. "No, this is..." And then she says my address. "You're lying." That was a tad alarming. She's at the right address. She's not knocked on the wrong door, however, she's clearly thinking that I've done something to somebody who, to the best of my knowledge, has never lived here. I don't know how long the previous owner had this house, but we must... I don't know how long the previous owner had this house, but we must be talking about at least 30 years since anyone called Margaret might have lived here. It's at this point that I notice that she suddenly wrapped that dog lead around her now clenched fist like she's planning to use it as a weapon. In my youth, I did plenty of self-defense training, so I'm not exactly scared of her as such, but I'm obviously getting a bit concerned about the situation that's seriously brewing. I don't particularly wish to get involved in a brawl on my doorstep with a complete stranger, and I'm torn between shutting the door in her face or trying to de-escalate the situation. In the end, I close the door a little so she's got less aim at her. I'm torn between shutting the door in her face or trying to de-escalate the situation. In the end, I close the door a little so she's got less to aim at and tell her, "Look, I don't know who you're looking for, but if you think something's happened to your friend, maybe you should call the police and let them sort it out." Sure enough, the woman slams her fist with the lead wrapped around it into my door. I later discovered that she'd struck the door hard enough to crack the frosted glass window in the middle of it. She's bleeding from doing this. It must have hurt, but she doesn't flinch or show any sign of pain. What the hell? Any confidence I had in my self-defense classes started to waver here because I'm not used to people who don't feel pain. All I can think now is that she's on something and having a really bad trip, so at this point I put on my scariest voice and tell her to get the F back. The horror. Going through Let's Read Live withdrawal, as you should. Jeepers, thank you. I let her know that I'm calling the police, and if she's still here when they get here, she can deal with them because I'm not dealing with her anymore. She tries to stop me from closing the door, but I shove her back and manage to get it closed and locked. I make a point to stand next to the door while I'm calling 999 so she can hear me. While I'm waiting for the police to turn up, I watch her on the surveillance feed. She moves out of shot multiple times, presumably to check the back of the house, and I hear her calling out for this Margaret. A few minutes before the police finally turn up, I see her kick over my wheelie bins in a rage, but then the most chilling thing happens. She walks back to the front door and literally stares directly into my camera. The camera is pretty well hidden. I'm not saying that nobody could spot it, but most people would only know it was there if they'd been looking for it. Most people aren't looking for cameras, right? And she knew it was there. She must have eyeballed it previously. When? I don't know. I later reviewed all the footage I had from that day, and she never made eye contact with it once. She never even looked in that direction. I only had about a week's worth of footage before it's the oldest footage is. I only had about a week's worth of footage before the oldest footage is overwritten, and I checked everything I had, and she was only on camera that day. All I can think is that she'd been here more than a week prior. While she's staring right into it, she flips me the finger and then makes a throat-cutting gesture before walking off. I head to the window to watch her leave, and she's walking like she doesn't have a care in the world, and she doesn't look back, just wanders away. Police finally show up. Good job, I wasn't being murdered or anything, and they take a statement. I give them a copy of the surveillance footage, and that's that. I called a couple of times to follow up, but nothing. Nobody ever called me about it. I won't lie, this had me up for a few weeks. I moved the knife block closer to the door, though out of sight of any of the windows. I started staying up really late and not getting much sleep, which really didn't help. On some nights I was so tired that I started experiencing auditory hallucinations. I'd hear people who weren't there talking, and because this woman was the cause of all my stress, I heard her voice and the name Margaret most of all. Every time I heard the gate open, it put me on edge. I'd review the surveillance footage every day, and eventually, as the weeks passed and I hadn't heard anything else, I started to regain some type of comfort and just put it down to a very weird experience. It didn't last, though. About 4, maybe 5 weeks after the first encounter, she came back. It was just after midnight. I was in the living room, mucking about on my phone with the TV on low volume for some background noise. I heard a car door slam and peeked out the front window. A dark-colored car was parked at the end of the driveway. I couldn't see what make or model it was, but it looked like some sort of estate car. I think Americans call them station wagons, right? I didn't see anyone moving about, but a minute or two later, the front gate swung open with its metallic groaning, and there was a knock on the door. Even when I'm not involved in a blood feud over imaginary Margarets, I'm not going to answer the door at that time. I check the surveillance camera. Its night vision mode is pretty terrible, but I'm positive that it's that woman again. I can even see what I think is the dog lead. And of course, she knows I'm watching her because she looks at the camera again, and I tell you, when someone is already giving you the heebie-jeebies, the way night vision makes people's eyes look like soulless black voids doesn't do much to make you feel better. And suddenly, she yells out, "Shut that racket off and come out here now!" I had the TV on, but as I mentioned, it was on a very low volume. There's no way that she could hear it from outside my door. I couldn't even hear it if I walked into the hallway. I'm convinced at this point that she is mentally unwell, so I call the police again. I want them to stay on the line, but they just tell me that someone will be over soon and to call them back immediately if things escalate. So I'm waiting, watching, and just hoping that she doesn't start to try smashing the window or something. She kicks over my wheelie bins again, don't know what she's got against them, and yells something else out, which I couldn't quite make out, but whatever it was enough for one of the neighbors to come in and investigate themselves. I watched the neighbor talking with her for a minute. She's remonstrating? Never seen that word before. Remonstrating. She's masturbating. Is that a term? Present participle of remonstrate, to say or plead or protest objection or reproof. To reason or plead in protest. You learn something new every day, I guess. There's Hawk. What's up, Hockey? Yeah, do hawks hunt at night? Hawk, do you know anything about actual hawks? Or do you hunt at night? Yeah, she's menstruating. She began menstruating right there on my front porch. She's remonstrating about something, wagging her finger towards my front door, but my neighbor is eventually able to get her to leave. He even sticks around for a bit to make sure that she's gone. Sadly, that also meant that she'd gone before the police turned up again and made me feel like I was a bother to them. Another statement, handing over more security footage, and more of nothing. I caught up with the neighbor the next day, and he apologized because it didn't occur to him to make a note of the registration plate, but he told me that she said much the same thing as she said to me previously, that she wanted to know where Margaret was and what I'd done with her. I'm grasping for answers at this point. Even if she's mentally unwell, the fact that she's sticking to this Margaret story and has the right address makes me think that there's something more to this than somebody having a breakdown. And then it clicks. Is Margaret her dog? Does she think that I've stolen her dog? Did she have a dog go through the hole in the back? Does she think I've hurt the dog? Is that what this is all about? It'd be another week before she came back. And this time, at 3 a.m., I'm awoken by knocking on the door. A few minutes later, I hear tapping on the bedroom window. I know it's her. I can hear her saying things, but I can't really make them out because they're too muffled through the windows. It's like she didn't want to get the neighbor out again, so she's trying to keep it quiet. I jump out the bed and put some clothes on as quickly as I can. I try and follow her as best I can as she moves around the outside of the house from room to room, knocking, tapping, and muttering. I think I hear a few coherent words like noise, racket, and I'm pretty sure she called me some other slurs, but maybe I was imagining that. I can't check the surveillance footage this time because she's spray-painted the lens. Not that it'd matter much this time. She's not lingering by the front door. I think about calling the police again, but it's proven a waste of time so far, and I get the feeling that if I call them out a third time and she's gone, that they're just going to start accusing me of wasting their time even if I do have the evidence. They're not exactly been... They've not exactly been that helpful so far. In the end, I wait by the front door and listen to her. Eventually, she knocks again and I call out, "Is Margaret your dog?" Dead silence. Nothing. I can't see anything through the frosted glass because it's too dark. I have no idea where she is, and I don't want to turn the outside lights on. I don't even know why. She knows I'm in the house because I've called out to her, but I still don't want to draw any more attention to myself, and I ended up standing there for who knows how long, at least an hour, probably more because the sun starts coming up. My heart is going a mile a minute pretty much the whole time. Once it's bright enough, I start checking through the windows to see if I can see her. Nothing. I tentatively open the front door and look outside. Still can't see her. I grab something to my arm. I grab something to arm myself with just in case. I can't remember what now, and check all around my house and the back garden. She's not there. As I'm heading back to the front door, I spot the oddest thing. The gate's closed. The gate is physically attached to the side of my house, and when it opens and closes, it makes a fair bit of noise. You'd definitely hear it if someone opened or closed it when you were standing next to the front door, but it's closed. So what does that mean? Did she jump it somehow? It's impossible, I guess, but I wouldn't want to try it. Anyway, I open the gate and head out the end of the driveway. I look around and there's no sign of anyone. I turn back to the house and see that she's spray painted. The word liar on the front of my house and left the dog lead on the floor beneath it. That was, thankfully, the last time I ever heard or saw from this woman, but I think that she still comes by sometimes. Ever since all this happened, I get these creeped out feelings occasionally at night and checked out the window. I don't know whether I'm imagining it or what, but now and again, I swear I see a dark-colored estate car out on the street. Not parked at the end of the driveway these days, but I just can't shake the feeling that she's in there, watching my house. Perhaps she was looking for her dog, and she keeps thinking that she'll see me with it. She's a bird of a feather. Fucking hell. That was a long-ass story. It was kind of interesting, like, thinking about starting a animation channel, and then I see, the Meat Canyon. I see him on Twitter saying about how he was gonna do a Kickstarter for that little show that he was doing called Melvin. I mean, it was on his channel specifically, but I'm like thinking to myself, like, damn, dude, this guy who's done animation for a longest ass time, has a really solid Patreon, all this kind of stuff, is thinking about doing a Kickstarter for like his, passion projects. And I can't help but think to myself, like, damn, dude, is it really that expensive to do animation? And I imagine it is, affording all the animators and everything in between. David De La Rosa, welcome back for 22 months. Awesome, thank you, Joel. Let's read rocks. Let's go. Thank you. Good to see you. Joel, I didn't unsubscribe myself from membership. I'm just too broke to pay the monthly fee. I will update my payment tomorrow. Don't stress. I'll always be a cult member. No worries, Cacao. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing okay. Animation takes a lot of time and people, to be honest. Yeah. Fuck. Hey, Tima. Thank you very much. Where'd you get that font? I used to be employed as a child protection worker. A report came through about a stepfather who was being abusive to his children, and I was given the investigation by my team leader. When I interviewed the oldest child with the police, she had very visible physical injuries and told me exactly what had happened. I'll spare the details, but it was horrific. As the children were in his sole care, we knew that they needed to be removed immediately. We sent a team of 2 That sounded kind of weird. As the children were in his sole care, we knew that they needed to be removed immediately. We sent a team of 2 God fucking damn it. We sent a team of 2 workers out to the children's school while myself and a colleague called out the stepfather. I just keep seeing words that don't exist. Holy fuck. Blah, 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 blah. We sent out a team of 2 workers out to the children's school while myself and a colleague called the stepfather into the office. I led the interview and it was horrible. He didn't even try to deny that he had hurt his stepchild, basically saying, "That's my kid. I'll do what I want and you can't stop me." When I served him with the paperwork, he absolutely lost his mind. He was swearing and screaming and said, "If we were outside this building right now, I would effing kill you." We ended up running out of the interview room, pressing our emergency alarm, and I even had to make a police report about the whole thing, and it got really messy. The next day, we had court for the children, and my manager decided that I shouldn't attend due to everything that had happened the previous day. My colleague who attended told me that this man was at court and yelled several times something to the effect of, "What is that worker who My colleague who attended told me that this man was at court and yelled several times something to the effect of, "Where is that beast of a worker who took my kids?" I remember feeling a little freaked out, but it's not uncommon to hear things like this when you have to remove a child. It's understandable that emotions are very high. You build a bit of resilience working in this field, and overall I mainly felt relieved that those children had been placed with an aunt and were safe. About 2 weeks later, I had to stay back late at the office on an unrelated job. It was about 9 p.m. when I finished, and I was the only person there. I walked out the back of the building to my car. It was really dark, but when I got close, I thought I saw a shadow moving at the front of my car. Just for a second, and then it was gone. I was about 20 meters away at this point, but it startled me. I stood there for a second just looking at my car, wondering if I was just being paranoid. While staring into the darkness, I started hearing tiny rustling noises, and whether imagined or... Oh, I see. And whether imagined or not. Wait. Rustling noises and whether imagined or not, all of the... Oh, I see. Oh, what's up, Greg? How are you? When I was doing 2D animation at uni, it was very time-consuming, but I drew on paper frame by frame. It can be done faster digitally, especially if we're using assets. Depends on complexity, too, of course. Yeah, Cam, did we talk last time? Did you have any desire to continue doing that, or are you doing your own thing? Or did you said you got out of that field or something like that? While staring into the darkness, I started hearing tiny rustling noises, and whether imagined or not, all of the true crime stories that I've heard flashed into my mind. Safe to say I freaked myself out and sprinted back to the building. I called my boyfriend to come and pick me up, explaining what had happened. By the time he drove up to the front doors, I had convinced myself that I was being silly and asked him to drive me around in my car. He circled around, and with the headlights shining on my car, I could very clearly see that all 4 of my tires had been slashed. I was an absolute mess that night and called the police immediately. I was pretty sure that this man was responsible, but as I hadn't seen him, I couldn't say for sure. I took a few days off and came back to the meeting with my manager, who had just put together a safety plan for me and the other staff. She'd organized to have a security guard escort us to our cars and said very clearly that no one was to stay in the building after hours alone. Then, about a week later, a letter was delivered to the office addressed to me. Any mail that comes into the office goes through our reception staff. Our lovely receptionist opened it, and it was a note that said, "You're as good as dead." The words were typed and printed. She was an older woman and burst into tears when she read it. It didn't say who had sent it, but I am convinced that it was the same man. Over the next few years, letters kept coming, each one getting longer. They addressed me as all sorts of terrible names, including things like homewrecker, saying that I kidnapped and abused children. It was just horrible, horrible stuff. The threats in the letters were the worst. The person writing them threatened to do terrible things to me, torture, kill, find out where I live, and to burn down the entire building. To be honest, the police were less than helpful. They basically said that given the nature of our work, they couldn't conclusively say it was this man, although they had questioned him. To me, it all seemed like a pretty massive coincidence. I'd never had anything like this happen before. They did say that they were taking the letters very seriously and tracking down where they'd been posted from, but I never heard anything back about it. My workplace took the threats very seriously too. All of the security was bumped up across the building, and all staff completed refresher training on emergency management. One day, on the way home from work, I noticed that a car was following me. At first, I thought that I was being paranoid, so I drove down a bunch of little streets, double-backed onto the same route in a way that would make absolutely no sense. Even after all that, a dark green Camry was still paced a little way behind me. I freaked out, but had already planned in my head that I was going to do this in this. Hey, David, thank you for the 2. Appreciate you. You focus more on game art now. Oh, okay, you're like working with a game studio. Or like concept art. If I ever decide to get back into animation, I'll reach out. But if you want some kind of static art, backgrounds, illustration, concept art, even game-related art, I can probably try a bit. Okay, yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, I'm sure, like, maybe even if we were working with an animator, we certainly probably would need somebody to, like, to paint the backgrounds, right? Isn't that what they do? They, like, paint the backgrounds of the scenes and then, have somebody animate the characters. You and Blue Spooky are my favorite readers. With you, number 1. Thanks. I used to follow your art account. I was like, when I got the notification. Did I stop following? Sometimes I, like, clear out my follows because maybe I, like, forget or something. I don't know. That's weird. What was your art account? Where was I? I freaked out, but I'd already planned in my head that I was... Why does it seem so weird? I freaked out, but had already planned in my head what I was going to do in this situation. I headed straight to the police station, planning to pull right up to the front of the building and beat my horn until I had someone's attention. The second I pulled into the police station, the green Camry drove straight past and disappeared down a nearby side street. I sat there for a good 20 minutes, too scared to get out of the car in case they came back around the corner. It dawned on me that in my panic I'd forgotten to get the license plate, and that upsets me to this day. I told the police what they knew, but they told me that the man didn't have any car I told the police what I knew, but they told me that the man didn't have any car registered in his name. And this was the final straw for me. I was a nervous wreck. I was looking around constantly at work and at home. I knew that he lived relatively close to me, so I even stopped going grocery shopping in case I ran into him. I stayed on stress leave for a month, and I heard from colleagues that letters kept arriving. I was very honestly ready to quit, but then COVID happened, and it really changed everything. Everyone went into lockdown, and all access to the office was restricted. I started back working from home, driving a work car to and from apartment. I started back at work, motherfucker. I started back working from home, driving a work car to and from appointments. I didn't go into the office regularly anymore, only allowed in one... Only... I didn't go into the office regularly anymore, only allowed in small working groups when absolutely necessary. Over the next year, the letters slowed and eventually stopped. By the time we were allowed back in the office, they hadn't been... Over the next year, the letters slowed and eventually stopped. By the time we were allowed back in the office, there hadn't been any sign of this man for almost 7 months. About a year later, I left Child Protection Services. I don't know what happened with those children, but I hope... I don't know what happened with those children, but my hope is that they are happy and safe with their family. And as for the man who I believe stalked and threatened me for doing my job, I hope I never see him again. I feel like that would be... What do you guys think? Which one was a better story? That one? Or the first story? What's up, Julie? Good morning. First one. Sorry, there's like a delay on the first one. Is wild. Okay. Just because yeah, that was the one I told Robin to do a thumbnail for, and... Okay, it seems like there's a majority of the first one. Well, that's good. I was gonna message him and tell him to switch to the second one, but that's good. Don't that suck when you read to yourself? It all comes out good in your head, but reading out loud can be difficult. If I did what you do, I would never get through a story. Yeah, no, sometimes it's weird because like sometimes I'll have like long, because the last story I went on like a long run, you know. I had this idea for a concept where it was almost like, I thought it'd be kind of sick to like visually have I mean, I don't know how you would ever program this or make it happen, but I feel like it's definitely doable, as it would almost like have to have like voice recognition stuff, but like you try to make it through a story without making a mistake. But if you stop or do make a mistake, it's basically it play out like a Mario level where it's like a puzzle platformer, and like as you're reading and getting through the words and stuff, each area would be kind of in conjunction with a part of the level or something. But then as you fuck up and like, or I don't know, you just mess up or something, it like kills the character. But then and then as soon as you like start reading back on a previous one, it like rewinds the character back to a previous point. I think that would be kind of fun to watch. What time do I usually start? I don't know. I've been starting like fucking late lately. Just kind of like haven't had like the motivation to get going. And I get done at the gym and shit, and I'm just like laying there. Even after like showering, I'm just like, I just want to die. But I think, I don't know, I'm gonna try to get my sleep schedule to a more normal position on Monday. And maybe streaming at like 7 p.m. or between 7 and 8 on Sunday. Sounds like an interesting coding challenge. That would be fun. Yeah, Jackie Chan, if that's something you could do, I mean, I would just need you to show proof of concept first, you know? That does seem a little bit over most people's heads, you know? No disrespect, I just tag me. Just tag, you know, if there's something you want to do, I prefer not to really communicate directly. Just tag me in something. Oh wait, I already read that one. Fuck. Alright, this is story 3. Until a few days ago, I had no idea that this has actually happened to me. What does that mean? I had no idea that this has or had. Okay. Until a few days ago, I had no idea that this had actually happened to me. I'm not going to talk about the gruesome indirect circumstances that triggered this to start haunting me in flashbacks, but I will rather focus on the story itself, how I remember it, and how my cousin, who was with me when it happened, remembers it. Now for some context, my cousin and I are the same age. We are both women and currently 25 years old. She's only 5 days younger than me, and her family rented a floor in my parents' house when we were toddlers, so we basically did everything together and spent all our days together until we turned 5, when her family bought an apartment in another city, some 30 kilometers away from the city I lived in. Since we had a very strong connection, almost codependent, it was very difficult for us to get used to not living together, and 2 years later, we have made an agreement with our parents that we will visit each other each weekend, and during the summer break, she'll spend 1 week at our place and I'll spend the other week at their place, and we will basically exchange like that until the end of the summer break, and this went on for years. Since we were spending all our free time together, by the time we turned 10 or 11, we have already exhausted all of our adventure ideas in the backyard. Tree climbing, building a tree house, setting up tents, camping in the backyard, all that kind of stuff. And we really needed something new, so we decided to go fishing together every Friday on the river near my house. It's about a 20-minute walk. Now, of course, we had no tools needed for a true fishing experience. We had a butterfly net that we would place in the water, and on a good day, we would catch a dozen tiny fish or so with it. And that was enough for our little... restaurant game that we would play at home. We would come back, bake the fish under the sunlight, and then serve it and decorate it in plastic plates that we would later serve to our imaginary customers. We've done this for weeks and always made sure that we were safe while doing it. We never actually got into the river, and that wasn't that difficult since it's a very peaceful neighborhood. We called it the Yellow Bridge, and there was usually no one else at the river at the time we were there. But one day, it was different. Very different. Now, how I remember it, a couple of days ago, the memory of this encounter suddenly spilled out in my mind. We were either 10 or 11 years old, and it was Friday. She was at her place that week, so we took the butterfly net and went fishing on the river. We were alone, sitting under a large willow tree right next to the river, and suddenly a man showed up from nowhere. He was standing a couple of meters away from us. He had a blackish hair with plenty of shades of gray, so I'm guessing that he was in his late 40s or early 50s. He had a dark blue t-shirt, a little smudged on the collar. He asked us what we were doing, and we said that we were fishing. He continued walking back and forth on that part of the shore. Now, under the Yellow Bridge, the shore itself is at least 500 meters along, and he could have gone anywhere, but he stayed where we were at. Then he came a little closer, and we got up. He told us that he was having issues with his wife, and we just sort of nodded our heads, trying to avoid the conversation and follow the don't talk to strangers rule. We didn't ask him anything. He took a flip phone out of his pocket and opened it in front of us. "I have to show you my wife," he said. "Okay," we replied. When he found what he was looking for, he came even closer and toned it. When he found what he was looking for, he came even closer and turned the phone towards us. It was a picture of a completely naked woman sitting in a chair with her legs spread. We just nodded. He then proceeded to show us more pictures, and it was quite clear that it wasn't his wife because the pictures weren't of the same woman, but all of them were naked from head to toe with their legs spread or in other very suggestive positions. Now that I think of it, the quality of the images, the fashion, and the aesthetics could be best described as, adult content from the 70s. It could be that he took pictures from some old magazine and had them sent by someone. I remember I looked at my cousin and mouthed, "It's not his wife," and she nodded. "Isn't she beautiful?" he asked. "She is," I replied, and my cousin nodded. We then remembered that we have left our net in the river, so we went back to the willow tree and reached for the net. He was standing there, in the same spot as before, looking at his phone. He then showed us a very low-quality picture of 2 naked men and another naked woman. This picture actually looked like pictures taken with an actual flip phone camera. "This is me," he said, and pointed at one of the men in the picture. We just nodded and said that we had to go home. He then said the words that have been haunting me for days now. "You think my wife is beautiful? She thinks you're beautiful too. She would love to meet you. Come with me to meet her and we can all play together." "No, we have to go home," I replied. "You little party breaker. Maybe your friend doesn't want to go home. Come on, I want to play with you," he said and turned to my cousin. "No, I really want to go home," my cousin replied. And this is where the details of the memory stop. What I remember next is him giving up, just not being there anymore, and us leaving, giggling and laughing as we walked away and mocking his voice and his tone on our way back home. I found it weird that only after so many years have I remembered the situation, and I brushed it off as a potential dream or maybe even a false memory, but since his words kept echoing in my head, I called my cousin and described my memory word for word as I described it here, and she said that it did happen, just slightly different from how I've remembered it. And here's how my cousin remembers it. It happened. All the details are correct, but once she told him that she really wants to go home, he was way too close and we were scared to start running or turn our backs since we thought that he could maybe run and catch us. So we stayed there for a while and kept pretending like he wasn't there, and we played with our catch, the tiny fish in a bucket filled with water, and talked about our fathers who work in the police. Obviously it was a lie. Her father is a forest ranger and mine works in IT, and how they're so strong and that they could kill a man with one punch. The man didn't believe our exaggerated story, and he kept walking in circles around us. Not too close, but he did keep an eye on us the entire time. As we waited and waited and waited, at one point he went to the bushes behind us to take a pee, and this is when we got up and started running. We ran across the bridge and kept running until we got to the part of the neighborhood where there are lots of houses. When we were already close to our house, I stopped in the middle of the road and said that my legs won't move, so she helped me get down on the side of the road, and we sat there until I felt better. Today, I know that I experienced what I experienced was a state of shock. Once I felt better, we went back home, threw away the fish, and decided to never go fishing again. We never told this to our parents because we knew that what happened had something to do with... We never told this to our parents because we knew what happened had something to do with what adults do with each other, and at the time, we thought that everything related to that is shameful and shouldn't be talked about. She said that she is surprised that I thought it was a dream and that I didn't remember it until now, since I've had such an... creeptastic story. She said she is surprised that I thought it was a dream and that I didn't remember it until now, since I've had such an extreme reaction, and she has PTSD from that event. Even today, she's not going alone anywhere and is terrified when someone mentions the Yellow Bridge. Who wins in the fight, Pradeep or Hawk? Oh man, it's hard to say. Pradeep is kind of a feisty boy when he wants to be. Are you swishing stuff in your mouth? Yep. It's kind of getting like dry. I'm waterboarding myself with Tito's right now. Be careful. We just starting? Nah, I've been going for about an hour and 13 minutes. Sounds like a kid blowing bubbles in his drink. That'd be funny. He's got chalky milky in front of me. For some background first, I'm a 29-year-old woman. I lived in an apartment in a sketchier side of my town, so I'm not unaccustomed to strange people pulling up and strange things happening. I've been through a home break-in before, so I'm very hypervigilant when it comes to keeping myself and my home safe. I also smoke cigarettes. Nasty habit, I know, but having cats and not wanting my house to reek like smoke, I walk out to my balcony to smoke. And that's exactly what I was doing when this happened. I was sitting on my balcony, smoking and just enjoying my night, when I noticed a car I've never seen before pull into the back parking lot of my apartment right by my balcony. I initially felt a bit off, but I didn't want to come off as being the paranoid neighbor, so I keep sitting, smoking my cigarette. Then I hear footsteps making a beeline through my backyard. There's a large and burly man that I've never seen before walking briskly through my backyard. Again, I still don't try to make much of it because they might be there for my neighbor or something. My anxiety... Damn it. I was gonna fucking bang through that story so easy. The old $500 Honda is running. You better not be waterboarding with Tito's and driving that thing, or I'm calling the po-pos. Yeah, Pradeep rides on the back of Hawk into war. Pradeep's got one of those like goggles and one of those like Red Baron scarves. You got homework, C-Money? What kind of homework you got? My anxiety is definitely on alert, but not in panic mode, until I realize that he's going straight for my portion of the backyard. He then does something that still freaks me out as I type this. He stops right in my backyard and looks up at me on my balcony, not saying a word. Now I'm in absolute panic mode. I audibly say, "Oh no." Spring up, slam and lock my balcony door, run to my upstairs bathroom and dial 911. I listened to every sound from downstairs while I stood panicking in my bathroom, and truthfully, it sounded like someone was messing with my back door. I don't know for sure because I was in this super hypervigilance mode. Wait, I don't know for sure? Tito's Tacos. On God, y'all. On God. On Bob. There should be a little, you should type it into your phone. Instead of ONG, you should type ONB, on Bob. I don't know for sure because I was in super vigilant mode. I do know that he was in my backyard for a few minutes because I was in my bathroom for several minutes until I decided to peek out my balcony window. I saw him walking to his car and getting in. That also tells me that I don't think that he was there to rob me, but maybe something more sinister. Lucky he was lazy because, again, I live in the cheaper side of town, so you can imagine the quality of my doors and locks. I'm really hoping it was just some guy who was drunk or high and had the wrong house, but my gut is telling me otherwise. On Bob, bro. For Rizzy. On Bobby. Anything cool happen? Anything? Can I just tell me to give hot takes on things? I want to give hot takes. That brings me some degree of stimulation in my brain to like talk about something controversial that I know nothing about. Just anything. Just fucking ask me about it. For shizzle my bobizzle. My Brobert. Why are all the creeps in their 40s or 50s? I'm 55 and it seems that's the age to be a creepster. Hell, I would be lazy to be a stalker. Yeah, I guess it's like if you're not married, like the wife might keep you in track, but if you weren't married, I could see like your sexual proclivities kind of just like turn you into some sort of monster or something like that, you know, like some sort of vagabond that wanders the Great Plains to be a deviant. I don't know. You hope, you know, most men hope they don't end up that way, but sometimes they just be bad. They just be born to do bad. Alright, could we arrange the fight between Musk and Zuckerberg, but as an added twist, have a sniper in the crowd? Sniper in the crowd. That's controversial. Weed is pretty cool if you ask me. What grinds your gears? Yeah, I guess just people that don't like jokes or people who find jokes offensive or kind of cringe to me, because it's just like the whole point of a joke is to be funny, and if you don't like it, you just, you know, close your ears and go la 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 and move on with your life. Do you believe in heaven, hell, reincarnation, ghost, purgatory? I think so. I think there's like a heaven or hell. I'm not sure about the reincarnation thing. I could totally understand if there was a reincarnation thing, but I almost feel like I would have like more of a nihilistic perspective if you end up finding out that reincarnation is real, because then it's just like, fuck, so you're just stuck in like an endless loop. Ghosts in purgatory, I don't know. I remember like growing up Christian and stuff, you were always led to believe that ghosts were just like some sort of demonic beings masquerading as humans stuck on earth, when in reality there was only one or another place to go, heaven or hell. But at the same time, now that I'm older, I just like, I have no fucking clue what's going on, but I do think that there's something going on. What it is exactly, I have no gosh dang clue. I don't know. You hope to go to the good place, I guess. You hope to exist at like a higher frequency, I suppose. He's real live. I'm the real type of live. Ever been stalked? I guess a little bit, just by weirdos. But not like, I guess nothing that's really manifested in like real life. You like the streamer already? Nice. What do you think about Aaron Paul saying he doesn't get Breaking Bad residuals from Netflix? Interesting. Does he get it from, so like the deal that they cut with Netflix, just like cut out any residuals for the actors? It seems as if though nowadays, especially with the way that you look at like Disney and Disney Plus and the streaming services kind of like giving pennies on the dollar to most actors and extras and stuff, it doesn't really seem like acting is the best way to go to make money in the long term, which kind of fucking sucks. So it just seems like everybody's like, pretty soon you're gonna see like John Travolta, he's gonna be starting a YouTube channel, gaming or something, maybe a podcast. But I feel like that's the way to go in general anyways, is just to start your own fucking thing. And then you don't have to worry about like pretending as if though you give a shit what like people from Hollywood think. Like, cause can you imagine that, going to Hollywood and just like listening to all those like entitled fucking idiots like talk all the time, and just like having to exist in them, so you have to like be like, oh my god, yeah, totally, that like is just like not cool, you know. And then you're like, oh, that's the dumbest person ever, but it's Harvey Weinstein, so I gotta stick my thumb in his ass, make him happy. I don't know, just shit like that, just be so cringe. Yeah, streaming services don't offer residuals for any other shows. That's fucking weird, dude. I feel like that would be the whole goddamn point. Is like based on plays, you get some sort of kickback or incentive. In the middle ground, the soul can feel time passing and it's maddening. The soul remains lit until the consciousness degrades or you find a way out. Where's the middle ground? That sounds scary. That sounds scary. Did you ever play DayZ? No, I never did. I heard it's pretty funny. What's your take on the weasel that disrupted the Large Hadron Collider in 2015? Do you think he sent us into a parallel timeline and that's why the world is so fucked up now? I don't really think the world's all too much different than what it is. I think the news cycle is more annoying than it normally is. It's like, it's more, I think you're probably more engaged and it's like typical progressions. And unfortunately as well, like all the politicians are so caught up in a lot of like sort of altruistic perspectives that like, and then also they can't seem to sort of, there's no longer a culture within politics to sort of like agree to disagree or have a conversation with one another, and it all kind of stems from those politicians just throwing shade on each other all the time. So it always just sort of like feels like a nonstop state of chaos because, and I think the best way to make it feel as if though you're on the right timeline is just to take control of your own life and, turn off the negativity to it, and just fucking focus on things that make you feel good, but also challenged, I suppose, because that's, I think, part of the human condition is, for me, I think a lot of times whenever like what I would consider a sense of depression starts to creep in is really just like on my personal experience, because I'm sure there's varying degrees of what we might define as depression, is not so much like some sort of chemical imbalance caused by an unknown source, but it's more of like, for me, like some sort of advanced boredom. Like I'm just so fucking unchallenged with what I have to do daily that I just need, the monotony is driving me nuts, and there's not as many like good dopamine loops, that I just need to like challenge myself and try something different. What's my take on Rolex? I don't know. Watches are fine, I guess. Like sometimes I think that shiny things are a little bit corruptive of the heart. You know what I mean? You wear a gold chain, you wear the gold grill and the watch, and I think it's a little bit corruptive to you without even realizing it. I think it absorbs, I'm just making shit up at this point, but I feel of like an indication in my mind that it sort of absorbs negative energy that like sort of winds you up into this, I don't know, self-entitled braggart, So I just don't really waste my time with jewelry, even though I would like a pretty sick fucking like Jesus piece, chain hanging off me, but then in my mind, I know for a fact all I would do would be looking at it and just be like, why the fuck do I need this? You know what I mean? There's literally no reason I need some shiny piece of bullshit on me. What's your take on the UFOs with all the new UFO leaking involving FBI and interviews and news leaks? Also, now by law in British Columbia, we can't see any news on Facebook or social media. Any thoughts on that? Huh. You can't see any news on Facebook or social media. See, that to me is kind of fucking stupid, where the state pretty clearly just wants to centralize the narrative, which is so fucked, you know what I mean? Like the whole point of social media is that, you get information quickly, and it's up to you. It's always been up to you, watching the news, or at least it was perceived to be up to you to make your decision on what you think of it. But of course, they'll sit there and just use some newspeak that says like, oh, it's potentially dangerous. Who knows? Maybe you'll hear something so annoying on Facebook that you'll go explode something like a mailbox. Who knows? I don't know. It's just dumb. Fuck the government. They're so stupid. It's like weird to me how much people like trust it on both sides, because it's just like some fucking back and forth nonsense show that like holds you back from being a being, Do you think any of those like big corporations that talk about things give a fuck whether, left or right? They only give a shit about who they can help them to make the most money, and not in like a super greedy way. I would say that you should think the same way. You should just like play whatever you need to play to make yourself financially independent from some sort of bullshit system so that you can do what you want to do, you know? Anyone else lagging? Fuck, we talked about something and now it's lagging. You've lived 5 past lives. What about... that doesn't even seem like a lot. Say happy birthday, Claire. Happy birthday, Claire. I'm a jeweler for a living was why I was asking. You def don't need one, but to me they're like collecting cars and yeah, if you're into it, I'm not against it. And honestly, I'm one of those people that I like gifts. If someone gifts me something, I like if someone gifts me a shirt, I wear that shirt all the fucking time. And not even really for any particular reason. There's something about when people give me gifts that I just like, those are the items that are nearest to me for some reason. Not to get too political, but the two-party system we have in the United States right now was not at all what the founding fathers intended. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know the full history on that, but I do remember at some point the two-party system was implemented, and some of the founding fathers in their writings said that once we get into that sort of like cult of personality, cult of, you know, groupthink, that's when things will start to kind of end up in that pendulum of like self-destruction. I can't say that I know enough about history to know exactly what things were like prior to it, but I'd like to know. It'd be interesting. Where do you find these backgrounds? I have Robin is a friend of mine / he was a fan. He actually reached out. That's the cool thing about having a large fan base sometimes is people with like differing skill sets can reach out to you and say, hey, do you need this? And, you know, Robin was a very talented 3D artist and just, you know, visual effects artist. And he reached out to me and kind of became my thumbnail guy and visual guy. And then same with my like audio remastering on my podcast. You might think that the audio sounds better over there, but that was, you know, Simon Anect, he goes by. He was a fan prior to reaching out. I'd love to hear a t-shirt and gift analogy. My watches were my grandfather's that were issued for my railroad time use and work use. They're just special heirlooms that mean a lot. Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense because you kind of see, remember like Pulp Fiction, whenever Bruce Willis like loses his dad's watch and he's like, he puts his life on the line to go back and get that watch and he's like so fucking pissed. This watch, it was your daddy's watch. It was up his ass for, you know, as he was a POW until he came home. It's been such a rough day. I'm glad you're alive. Thank you. Good to see you. George Washington once said, don't be hating. Come on now. Yeah, it is kind of strange sometimes just to think like the progression of humanity. Like sometimes we think about the United States, and even though I do truly want to maintain its existence for as long as possible in the state of prosperity that it does exist, but I would say even like that state of prosperity post World War II, that sort of like baby boomer age, was a degree of prosperity that like I don't think anybody in the history of mankind had really seen prior, or even really seen after, I suppose. I mean, obviously we have a lot of luxuries and live in a lot of decadence, but, you know, it is a strange time that we exist in, and I guess we should just count our blessings every day before eventually, I don't know, potentially something chaotic happens, but maybe nothing chaotic will happen. Maybe we'll just be totally fine, and the military will just blow up anything that's bad. Still want to become a regular provider of the true crime transcripts for you. When you like sending in true crime research and stuff like that, yeah, definitely love it when people send in that stuff. It was your birthright, and I'll be damned if some dirty... What does it say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pulp Fiction was great. I know people get kind of mad when I say it, but somehow I avoided like spoilers for Reservoir Dogs for years and years. But I watched it in the past couple of years, and I was not a fan of Reservoir Dogs. I know some people might not be happy about that, but maybe it's because I expected too much, and it was one of the earlier films of Tarantino. All right. We pay so much more in taxes than the colonists who rebelled because taxes. I know, it is really strange, but that just goes to show you, like, the whole, like, frog in the boiling pot thing. Like, you know, if you throw a frog into a boiling pot, it will jump out, but if you, like, you know, set the frog in there and then slowly boil the pot, it won't notice anything bad's happening until it's dead. And, you know, that's kind of... Or, like, I heard another analogy about, you know, you put, like, 5 monkeys... Or, no, you put 4 monkeys into a cage, and anytime the monkeys would go up to grab a banana, they would get sprayed by the scientists, right? And so eventually they associated climbing to get the banana, you know, as a negative repercussion. So then they introduce a new monkey into the cage, and then anytime he goes up to get the banana, all the other monkeys grab him, right? But then you take another monkey out and you introduce another monkey, and, like, over time, eventually, monkeys that have never been sprayed before are trying to stop other monkeys from going up to grab a banana because of just, like, some... I don't exactly know what the analogy compares to specifically in real life, but it's just a demonstration of, like, a slow and gradual conditioning of the population, which we are all a part of, you know. Anyways. Monkey groupthink. Yeah, oh, that's right, traditions. Yeah, like, just the things that we believe and the traditions that we do. Which is really funny, because, like, even for me, I'm like, wait, that, like, you know, completely translates to the concept of, like, you know, my personal religion or something like that, where you don't do things because religion in bad, you know. There's no real explanation as to what exactly... Obviously, there are objective things with that coincide with religion that keep you out of trouble or something, but there are some things that just, you know, have generally no objective consequences, but are kind of told you to have spiritual consequences. And then the weird thing is that even after, like, kind of realizing some of those things, I myself have become so, like, conditioned or brainwashed since I was, like, a child, pertaining to, like, religion and stuff, that I still have, like, a great deal of, like, fear to break free of those, that, you know, that typical conditioning. I wanted to tell you I love you. Utah stories. I grew up in Utah. Someday do a Utah comp. That'd be interesting. Probably something related to the LDS, Latter-day Squaints. Not the only one who's a night owl. Yeah, I'm very much a night owl lately, and it's good and bad. The Bible tells you, and religion has nothing to do with God. You know, I don't know about all that, you know, because it's like the Torah was very much like a religious text. Like, it was all about the traditions and the things that you need to do, and it was very clearly like a religious state of affairs. And I guess, like, technically when Jesus came or something, that old law doesn't really apply or something like that. But then even in the Bible, you can see that after Jesus left and there's, like, all those churches and stuff, they all have, like, they all had division amongst each other. And it's just funny to think that even in the book that you're reading, you can read about the division that sort of, like, pops up with different institutional religious institutions. And it just shows, you know, it's just like the politics of humans. Like, we just constantly think that we have the right idea for something, and we will fight to the death for it and fight to the end, and place pressure on our children to not make decisions on their own, and feel constantly in a state of... I guess that's the one thing. That's probably the one thing that would be nice to, like, not impart upon the next generation of other people, is to not feel a needless sense of guilt for things that need not feel guilt for. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly how you impart that, but probably just not teaching it in the first place, maybe, but also teaching the good things. Like a lot of the times I read like stuff from like the Stoics, you know, Marcus Aurelius and stuff, and it's very similar to the Bible, but there's no like guilt associated with it. It's more just literally, there's no, you know, Marcus Aurelius isn't saying that he is a god or any of the like 5 good emperors are gods or anything. It's just simply like telling you to live virtuous for the sake of virtue, you know. David with the 2, thank you, David. The Latter-day Stinkers. You Jews still keep the laws. Right, yeah, and I guess technically that Torah would be considered, well, I guess it wouldn't be considered the Bible per se, but it would be a part of it. And then, you know, it still would be considered religious scripts that like follow. Also, I remember I was hearing something about like the modern day, I don't know if it even is the Torah or if it's another type of Torah, but it was like after the temple had been destroyed, so a lot of those old books didn't really apply. There was priests that would write around the texts, like on the borders of the text's edge or something, and that became like the more modern Jewish book. I don't know what that's called specifically, but I always thought that was interesting, how things just change, you know, things just change and adapt to the modern times, and even what we might perceive as being, you know, a continuation of something from the past in the modern sense has its little fluctuations to it. The politics of dancing, the politics is who's feeling good, the politics of moving. Is this message understood? That sounds like some music lyrics. The Talmud, yeah. Yeah, I heard that, yeah, they like write around the edges or something, and so it's like much different than the Torah, but I could be wrong. Religion has shed more blood throughout history than anything. You know what shed a little bit more blood than religion? The government. Not to say that there's any difference between it, because shedding blood is shedding blood, but any sort of like institution of power, if it, you know, if it encourages you to hurt your fellow man, it's probably not great. What's my thoughts on fame? Well, you know, I always thought fame was cool. The only way I feel like fame would be fun for me, because I'm not necessarily famous since I don't really show my face and I'm not really like that popular in the grander scheme of things. Like I don't really get bothered too much. Or really like, you know, anybody, people aren't like trying to reach out to me really at all, you know, which I'm fine with. But like, the thing about fame, I feel like, which would be cool, is if you could just like walk down the street and just like make a friend out of nowhere. But it would also suck if you had like, you were like infamous, you know, you were like the negative fame, so you had haters, and the haters would want to, you know, say mean things to you on the street. That would kind of stink. But and then also like everything you do is like hyper examined under a fucking microscope or something. Like just seeing like tabloid headlines like one of the Kardashians is dating Travis Scott or some shit, like she kissed Timothy Chalamet in front of Travis, and it's just like I swear to God, like the things that we are entertained by, and I wouldn't even say most people are even entertained by it, are just about identical to like the base instincts that we had when maybe we were monkeys in the past or something, you know. It's just, oh, sexual tension and sexual frustration and sex this and sex that and sex. It's like nonstop fucking sex talk all the fucking time, but everyone like guises it under different concepts of like fashion and fame and success and all. It's like, it's all fucking sex. It's so boring. Hey Joel, just made it to the stream. Thank you for being my Ambien. I fell asleep so much quicker than I did before I found you. Thanks, bro. You're awesome. You're welcome, Kirk. Thank you. I'm glad you can get some sleepers. Might get back to the stories. We'll be here all night, you said, with 10 stories. That's a good point. Let's read a story here. I want to tell this story to warn others. I, an 18-year-old female, live in Maryland, United States. I worked at a very popular burger restaurant. I work at the payment window, which is where I stand all night. I'm very friendly. I know sometimes a smile and a compliment can make someone's day a little bit better. Just the same night, before the creeper came, I had a customer tell me that I was so happy and she loved me for it. That gave me the courage and energy to survive this next interaction. I'm used to the awkward comments and stares from older men. I'm sure it's my friendliness that attracts them. Our uniforms are not very revealing. They think I'm naive. Maybe I am, a lot more than I thought, but I'm fully aware of the dangers of trafficking. This particular old man came through just before 6. He pretended not to hear his order, and then laughed like it was some sort of joke between two friends. This is not uncommon. It's an old man thing. No red flags yet. I tell him his total and he hands me all but the change, and when he does this, he waves the money around and makes me chase it. I was able to snatch the cash, but again, it was just some sort of old man thing, I thought, not concerned yet. He stared at the company name on my shirt and asked if this was my name. I don't wear a name tag for this reason. I joked that I was going to change my name permanently to that, and he perked up. At this point, I should state that he's some white guy in his mid-60s to 70s driving a small white SUV with a kayak on top. He had some scruff on his face and was holding a phone to his ear this entire time. When I finally began to engage with him, he moved the phone to be facing me. Looking back, I believe that he was recording me. At no point did he speak into the phone or acknowledge it in any way. He probed with more pressing questions. Here's the thing. I have the same last name as someone from United States history. Most old people like talking about that kind of stuff, so I told him my last name. He didn't reflect or laugh, he just accepted and continued asking questions, and that's when I started to get this sort of sinking feeling. He still owed me change, I told him, and he grabbed another $1 and he handed it to me, but he wouldn't let go. He wanted to know my first name, and I dodged answering because I was getting creeped out. He wouldn't let go of the money and was practically drooling for more data and information about me. I gave him a name. I don't use the Motherfuck. Hi, my name's Motherfuck. Master of karate and friendship. In the past, I was afraid to admit my inner atheism out of residual fear, then came to the realization that my sense of morality had nothing to do with religion. I was free from superstitious fear. Yeah, and that's not, there's people that experience that kind of thing, but there's kind of like me, too, where it's like, I get frustrated with the institutional superstitions. Like, I used to, there was something really, but, I still hold, a strange sense of connection to God in a way. Some sort of inclination that there is something for sure higher, but maybe it's just because I feel it, but maybe that feeling is, I'm not quite sure. But, where was I going with that? Residual fear. Yeah, there's a lot of people, everybody's kind of in between on their perspectives all over the place. But, oh, that's right. Yeah, whenever I would go to these religious institutions, to church and stuff, there was something about the culture, because they weren't mean by any means. They weren't judgmental. They were Christians who were just the nicest Christians you could possibly imagine. But there was something strange about it, where it was it was almost as if though they were starting. It was you were going to, okay, say you were I always use this analogy, but say you were reading, going to a book club. You go to the book club, and the book club is reading Harry Potter, right? And everybody at the book club, you don't realize it yet, but everyone at the book club is picking out little tidbits of information about the Harry Potter chapter, things you can learn and grow from, but also pretending as if though Hermione and Dumblepoop are real people, And at no point during that process would it be appropriate for you to ask, why do you guys all think that these are real people, And And I've always, you always just want to ask that question, because they would just like talk about Dumble Poop, like, yeah, when he used his big magical wiener, it was so cool and inspiring, and I really hope to have a big magical wiener one day, and it's like, okay, you do realize that these are just characters in a book though, right? And even if you do have some sort of inclination to their existence in your mind in some sort of ethereal realm that perhaps like crosses over into the real world, but for some reason I just feel like if you're to believe in a god, wouldn't it make more sense to like for people who believe in it to sort of like explain why they believe it in the first place? Maybe like, because honestly I feel like if you talked about like miracles or some shit like that, that would make sense. Like, oh, I had some crazy miracle shit happen to me, so therefore, I'm down with that. And be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give this a shot or something. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like most of the time everybody's just sort of like playing pretend in a weird way without even realizing that they're playing pretend. Like they're just like, yes, we are maintaining the peace here and having no sort of existential crisis whatsoever. And there's no sort of like lack of faith in my mind. I promise there's not, and I won't ever indicate it, and I'll never explain my true feelings, and I'll never until I kill myself. I don't know. It's just, you don't have to explain faith. Exactly. You summed it up in one word, faith. How do you even, just a lot of that, Even if you had a miracle, who are you to assume something or nothing exists after this, right? Well, that's a good point, too. Even if you had some crazy thing happen to you, it's like, it passes by. It passes by within like an instant, and you're just like, what the fuck was that? Was that Glob? Was that Bob? Do I have to base every one of my future actions off of this one observational event that I experienced that nobody else really did, or maybe somebody else did, but like, it's just, and that's the weirdest thing, is that the human memory is so inconsistent that who knows, that maybe that memory of what you experienced as a miracle may have like changed over time to eventually you wonder if it was just a fucking dream, I don't know. We're only here for a short period of time, I guess, right? And we just got to be nice to each other and not, but also stern with one another, because there's some people you're too fucking nice to and then they do some shit to you, you gotta set some boundaries. What do I think of nihilism? Not a big fan of nihilism, though I do have nihilistic days for sure, but I don't really think that people should dwell too hard in nihilism, because it's basically just like, it's like being in a dark room. You're just in a dark room all the time, and people are like, hey, you gonna come out of the dark room? It's dark in there. What are you even doing? Shut up. Go away. I'm sitting in the dark. There's nothing else out there. There's nothing else. And then they open the door and the light comes in. You hiss. And then they pull you out and make you do your homework. What's nihilism? Yeah, nihilism, and to me at least, and we could look up the actual definition, is basically just thinking that there's no hope, that there's no meaning to life, and what's the point, kind of thing. Like, kind of like, you're like that teenage kid with the black hair in the front of your eyes, and you kind of like swoop it to the side, like, everything is pain, and everything is poopity doopity, and I miss my girlfriend, but to me, if you kind of dwell in those thoughts all the time, that's what you're going to get. You're just going to get a big load of, you're going to get the void. You're going to get a big load of nothingness. So even if that might technically in some objective form be slightly right sometimes, I still think it's important as a human being to have some degree of faith and optimism, even if you can be at times, like I was just talking about, frustrated that it makes no fucking sense. And, I think in life, having a strong, like having kind of that yin and yang of like faith, but also being grounded in reality, I think that's an important aspect of like being a human being, not letting, your faith take you too far, but not letting your sense of reality hold you back, but just staying completely levitated inside of a big floating ball of jelly in space, Why do you have a briefcase full of your dirty undies? I was going to wash them. Are you winning, son? Yeah. I gave him a name that I don't use, and he smiled. Fuck. I moved my mouse and it exploded. I gave him a... Fuck. I gave him a name that I don't use, and he smiled, finally letting go. I got his change and told him to have a nice day. I then immediately left the window and told one of my coworkers about the weird experience. He returned just 2 hours later. I didn't recognize his car on the cameras until we got to my window. I hadn't thought too much about our interaction and was busy texting my dad about whether or not a chicken sandwich was a burger. My stomach dropped when I saw his face. I have many regulars, all of whom I'd be... Dude, she works at Chick-fil-A, bro. I know it for a fact. We figured it out. Doxed. I'm having reader's block. Where do we find your stories? Well, these ones are from Reddit, but a lot of them are from email and, I guess, other places. Every Sunday and Tuesday and Thursday, we have super fun live streams. We have super fun live streams here. Here at Let's Read, we have super fun live streams. If you leave, I'll find you. I'll be in your shower. I'll wait in your shower for you so we can have a super fun time. I have many regulars, all of whom I'd have been happy to see. I hope he doesn't become one. I'll actually call the police. He smiled and said, "Hey, the one with the last name." I half smiled and wished for the days when we all wore masks. I tell him his total and he makes me chase the money again. For the entire time, he had his phone against his ear facing me. He starts asking even more intimate questions about me. I lie or dodge them best I can, giving him 0 correct answers, wanting our interaction to be as short as possible. Some of the questions he asked me: how often do you work? What time do you leave? How old are you? And for that one, I knew that he wouldn't leave without a number, and I had a nasty feeling the younger wouldn't be the better, so I said, probably 20s. And he joked about me being legal. I made a face and tried to get his changes even faster. He asked if I had a boyfriend. I was getting more and more nervous, so my answers started getting more sarcastic. I told him boys were trouble. He specifically talked about himself and said that he'd treat me right. I handed him his receipt and told him to have a great night. He threw his hands in the air and was saying, "Don't be like that. I'll treat you right." I shut my window and said bye. He made a bit more of a fuss, but eventually drove forward. From his question about when I got off at work, I was just thinking like she closes the window and then he just like Kool-Aid man smashes his car through the drive-thru or something. Hey, I didn't get your first name. For his question about when I got off work, I believe that he was watching the restaurant. I was shaking by this time and called my mom, and she immediately drove up. I talked to my manager and I was a little unsure of the car's colors, so he checked the camera for me. Shout out to my manager, he's the best. I continued at my window watching for the old guy, but I didn't see him again. I left an hour early and gave my manager specific instructions to not place a girl at my window, and he agreed. These interactions are unfortunately what cause formerly happy and cheerful service workers to become sour and quiet, and I think I'll be taking a couple of days off. I had finished a job lined up, and I'm excited to start it, but wait, I didn't mean to make light of trafficking victims. I did feel trapped by this guy, but I feel people seem to confuse, and I guess I didn't elaborate enough on the phone. He held it facing me for this. Oh, yeah, whatever. Oh wait, that's weird. The chat's going over here, but it's not going over here. That's strange. Jewel-Aid picture. Let me get a picture of Jewel-Aid. Yeah, you do kind of have to be aggressive. I mean, you definitely have to be aggressive with these people, or just cold. Even though I guess not being in that situation, you kind of have to look at them confused. I feel like at some point being like, what? What the fuck's wrong with you? But it is Chick-fil-A. If you don't smile, you die. These interactions are unfortunately what cause formerly happy and cheerful service workers to become sour and quiet. I think I'll be taking a couple of days off. I'd already had another job lined up, and I'm excited to start there instead. Hey, what's up, Jenny? Chat must be lagging. Chat is still here. Oh yeah, it looks like we're back. We are so back, baby. We're super back. Is it a coincidence that Joel rhymes with ghoul? Jewel and ghoul? Isn't it a coincidence that we haven't seen Jimmy Buffett and Jewel in the same room? Jewel the ghoul. Wouldn't it be funny if Mr. Nightmare's channel was called, like, if, I don't know, if his name was Joel, he'd be like Julie's Ghoulish Tales. Yeah, I don't know, just like some really, he's like the most popular true scary stories channel, but just had like a really fucking funny YouTube channel name. So this happened about 7 months ago. I was visiting San Diego for job interviews and staying at my favorite hotel in Sorrento Mesa. For background, I'm a 40-year-old man and a pretty big guy. I'm 6'1" and a former strip club bouncer, and now on with the weirdness. On my third night, I was up pretty late after hanging out with some old friends after my interviews. I got back to the hotel at around 2 a.m. with some Sonny's donuts, and after eating a few, drinking a few more, and watching South Park post-COVID, I decided to have a smoke before going to bed, and this made it now around 3 a.m. So I go downstairs, walk out front to the smoking area by the fountain, but there's another couple who were also staying at the hotel already there. I didn't want to impose, so I decided to walk around the outside parts of the hotel while I smoked. I walked around the pool, the barbecue area, the basketball courts, then started back for the side door. As I did, a black sedan drove up alongside me and stopped. The window rolled down, and a tiny Asian woman asked if I knew how to get out of the parking lot and back to the street. Now, from where we were when she asked me, this was literally in a straight line about 150 feet in front of her, so I thought maybe she was drunk or blind or something. So I just politely said, "Yes, just keep going straight and turn left at the tree." She then asked if I could get in the car and show her. Now again, I'm a former strip club bouncer, and this woman looked very much like Walmart Ali Wong. There was absolutely no intimidation factor, but for some reason, I instantly felt uneasy. Again, it was literally right in front of her, and she could see the road. Also, the windows were all tinted far more than they should have been, and I honestly couldn't tell if anyone else was in the car. I used the smoking as an excuse to not get in the car, but she said she didn't mind and gave me a very creepy smile. I politely declined and again pointed out that the road was literally right there, so I'd just be walking back in 5 seconds anyway. She again asked if I would get in and show her. And this was feeling like a weird kid/ice cream truck situation. I mean, guys, how often do decently good-looking women just drive up and ask you to get in their car at 3 a.m. in a hotel parking lot? How often does anyone ask a big bearded guy to just hop on in the car under these circumstances? Nothing about this was right. Again, I politely declined as I finished my smoke, and was luckily already standing right at the hotel side door when all this started, so I just went in. The woman just drove off as she rolled up the window, right exactly to the exit she just asked me to show her to. So I told the front desk about it, and they said that they keep an eye out, but I'm quite sure nothing has ever come of it. Just one of those things that really makes me wonder, what the hell did she want me in that car so badly for? A pretty man, I am not, so it had to be some kind of scam. I just wonder exactly how much danger I truly was in. Oh, dude, I was watching this video on Grand Theft Auto 5, and it was showing all, like, the creepiest things, like, creepiest mysteries in GTA. And I didn't realize they had a Zodiac killer whole thing that you could, like, sort of like environmental storytelling type thing that you could follow. And that, like, out on these islands, you could find, like, 5 bodies, like, wrapped up in the water and shit. Miss Molly, welcome back for 44 months. Says, Joel, my love, almost 4 damn years. What the hell? How are you? I hope you're having a good night. I'm just chilling and listening to you. Thank you, Miss Molly. I know. Time do be flying. And thank you so much for supporting for so heckin' long. Thank you, thank you. A pretty man? I am not. That's funny. I don't know, I thought that there was, like, most of the mysteries of GTA, like, a decade since the game come out. Like, I feel like I knew more about the mysteries in, like, Red Dead Redemption 2 within, like, a year of the game coming out. But then for some reason, all the mysteries of GTA 5 are kind of like, I didn't know much about it. I guess I never actually finished Grand Theft Auto 5. I feel like I should. I actually don't even think I know the full story of GTA 5 at the end. I made it about, like, maybe 2/3 of the way through it. So it was right after dinner. My parents were laying on the couch as usual, scrolling through their phones while me and my youngest brother were watching TV. I urged him to make some fruit salad, which he agreed to, and we both moved to the kitchen. He'd cut the fruit, bananas at the exact point, and do all the hard work while I was looking for strawberries in the fridge. From where I was standing, fridge wide open and box of strawberries in hand, I saw someone exit from the front door, and even heard the distinct noise that my old door makes. At first I thought that it was my older brother, going outside to retrieve his clothes that were hanging on a rack on the porch, but since the door closed and you can't access it from the outside without keys, I stepped into the living room, strawberries still in hand, with the intent of letting him back in. I casually asked my parents on the couch if my brother got locked outside, and they both said no. At this point, I finally settled down with the strawberries and settled down the strawberries. These strawberries were going fucking crazy, bro. Joel, the toe tickler story I submitted is on the subreddit. It was from the perspective, though. I could probably write it as a transcribe. What's the toe tickler story? Is that like a personal story or like a true crime? Men used to throw $20 bills at me through the Tim Hortons drive-through window when I worked the window graveyard shift. I also got tips of pepperoni from the meat truck drivers and lots of weird tips. Damn. $20 worth of pepperoni. Or like, they're like, can you make change? And you like hand them a handful of peps back at them. Your Doberman always comes and sits with me when I'm listening. Aww. Give that Doberman a big kiss, please. I had a Doberman. Oh, man. miss my Doberman so fucking much, dude. He was so sweet, dude. His name was Jack, and he was such a baby, and he would climb up to my neck in the bed, and then he would paw at my neck until I would lift the covers a little bit, and then he would go head first all the way down to like sleep at my feet, which I always thought was really strange because he was pretty much just getting hotboxed in there with my farts. But man, he was so fucking nice, dude. He was such a nice boy. I miss him. And when I was in Florida, we were at this like club, me and some friends, and two people were walking by with some really big Dobermans, and the one Doberman was missing a leg for some reason, but I went up and said hi to them and pet their Dobermans, and they're just such good dogs. Like, they're intimidating, but they're always nice. Like, every Doberman I've ever met is just so fucking nice, dude. Contradiction with the 10 Canadian maple syrup dollars. Thank you, my friend. Says, I appreciate the late night streams. I'm a chef, and I love to listen to your streams after a late night of work. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Thank you. You got a tip once. Sucks because I wanted the whole thing. Nice. I start a peanut butter and mayo mukbang channel that is also ASMR. Are you doing that? Your Doberman... Oh, wait. Oh, you read... Yeah, I read that already. Joel's over there telling a possible fan he pet their dog. That would be kind of sweet. I always kind of wondered that. Like, imagine having a funny interaction with somebody and they're, like, a huge fan. Like, there's this one place that I go through that has a fucking, like, 3... It's such a weird thing. It's like a 4-way stop area, but there's one... Like... 3 people have stop signs, but 1 person doesn't have a stop sign. So it's really confusing because sometimes they kind of cut the person coming into the area where they don't have a stop sign kind of comes out at like a turn, and it can kind of be like, oh, I don't have a stop sign, keep going. But the people who are waiting at the stop sign, had been there for a while and they've gone through the typical right-of-way process to the other people there, so like they might start to go. So it all, like, almost 9 times out of 10 is like them pulling out in front of you because, one, they're confused why you're not stopping, because just instinctually it's built into you that any sort of like road area like that should have 4 stop signs, but it just doesn't. I don't know. I think it's supposed to like speed up traffic or something and not get it backed up, but it's just like, what would we rather have, backed up traffic or car crashes? Rottweilers too have such a bad name, but never met a nasty Rottweiler. They're just giant babies. This is true. I haven't met very many Rottweilers, or met very many. Yeah, they are. I want to meet them. I want to pet them. I want to touch them. I want to squeeze them. I casually asked my parents on the couch of my brother. What? I casually asked my parents on the couch if my brother got locked outside, and they both said no. At this point, I finally set down the strawberries and told them I saw someone wearing dark clothes exit through our door. No knocking, which meant that it was in fact not my brother. My mother claimed that she heard a noise and thought it was me and my brother in the kitchen, while my father said that he also saw a dark figure swiftly getting out. Both my brothers said they only heard the sound at the door. Our dog in our gardens started barking too, but since my father didn't really feel like getting up and checking, it took a few minutes for him to get up, and anyone that could have been there would have already been gone. We started brainstorming all the options. It could have been the wind, but that meant that the door was ajar to begin with, and that's unlikely because my indoor cat would have been sitting there sniffing the door the whole time and we would have noticed. Also, our door is very old and it takes a pretty great force to close it. Now, I don't really trust my dad since he was distracted, leaving me as the only witness, and I don't really trust myself, given that I'm really, really paranoid. Maybe I was just hallucinating. Who knows? What's up, Corey? How you doing? You love Rotties? Yeah, Rottweilers, man, yeah. I really have only met a few, but not like, only ever seen them from a distance, you know what I mean? Still live. Hey Van, how you doing? Still live. We're cruising. This happened a couple of years ago. I'm a 26-year-old female and I was walking my dog, Indy, in my local field. It was dark, but it wasn't late. It was wintertime in the UK, so it was maybe 6 p.m. The field is mainly used for rugby and football, but is completely free to walk through whenever. It is also surrounded by houses and streetlights on the road, but the field itself is dark. So I had brought a torch with me, mainly so I didn't trod in any sort of dog feces. I've come in one entrance on the field and I'm following a path that leads to another exit and entrance. I use the field to make a loop back around to the road and back to my house, giving my dog some off-lead time whilst in the field. Anyway, as I'm walking up the field, I noticed a figure in the exit and entrance I was going to use to leave. Fuck, I thought there was a period there. Let me turn the light off, dude. You have a couple of Alaskan Kleekias. Have you ever heard of the breed? I have not. Let me look that up. Alaskan Kleekai. Oh, yeah, I've seen these things. They look like huskies, but they're smaller and a little bit look more related to a fox or something like that. That's cute. They seem like huskies, but like on crack or something as far as energy goes. But maybe they're chill. Got their little rounded tail. That's cute. Oh, all right. Where am I? Anyway, as I'm walking up the field, I noticed a figure walk in the exit/entrance that I was going to use to leave. I keep my eye on this figure as they have very dark clothing on and their hood up. I'm shining my torch as I'm walking so I know the person knows I'm there, as it's very obvious. At first I wasn't nervous, more so just being vigilant. Indy is a wonderful German Shepherd, so as you can imagine, I feel pretty safe with her. It wasn't until I saw the person duck down behind a bush or tree. There's lots of new tree bushes planted sporadically up the part of the field that isn't used for sports that I absolutely froze. I was about 200 feet from the exit, but would have to walk past the bush they hid behind to get to it. I call Indy over to get her back on the lead so she's close. By this point, she is also hyper alert due to the person behind the bush. That's pretty obvious. And with that, I hear a weird, high-pitched voice that sounds like they were saying my dog's name. I assume they heard me call her, and they said it like 3 to 4 times in this longed out high. With that, I hear a weird, high-pitched voice that sounded like they were saying my dog's name. I assumed they heard me call her that, and they said it like 3 to 4 times in this long, drawn-out, high-pitched voice. It's clearly coming from the person hiding. Luckily, Indy wasn't reacting to it, as it probably barely sounded like her name to her. I had a moment of, shall I fight or flight? Either I, 1, run past the bush and try for the exit, 2, turn around and run back into the dark field and make for the other exit, a lot further away, or 3, confront this monster. Indy at this point has their hackles up, ears up, and very alert in front of me, all while still maintaining a wonderful sense of calm. I went with number 3. I confronted them. I mustered up every bit of courage and confidence I had and shouted at the top of my voice, "What are you doing?" The hooded man came out from the bush very quickly without saying anything, and I said in that same tone again, "What the F are you doing trying to scare a young woman?" And I'm so glad my voice didn't shake or break when I said it, as I really was terrified at this point. And he started to stutter and said, I thought you were someone I knew." And I answered back, "Who hides from someone they think they know in a dark field?" After that, he apologized a couple more times and continued to scold down the rest of the field, and I made for a swift exit with Indy. God knows what his intentions were. Maybe he thought I had a smaller dog and was trying to attack me. Maybe he saw Indy and realized no chance. Or maybe he really did think that I was someone he knew. Whatever it was weird. You've had Great Danes, Hawk? That's cool. The Danes. Great Danes are awesome. I feel like in town here I see somebody who has like a Great Dane service dog, and it just follows him everywhere he goes, and it's like his talking piece. He had it in a movie theater, which was really weird. I'm like, where the fuck was that thing sitting for all of Oppenheimer? Actually, Oppenheimer would be a good, or Oppenheimer, whatever the fuck, would be a good dog name to honor the guy that made a big old bomb. Had the biggest science project known to man. It's tough being a narrator in a world where people don't know how to write or use punctuation correctly. Yeah, sometimes it'd be rough. You have a shelter mutt that I love with my heart. Oh, that's cute. Oh no, actually this is story 9 here, Shanus. We'll do one more and then I'll go take my sleepy time meds. I've been kind of fortunate where I've been getting a lot of sponsors that are kind of related to sleep, which I feel like is a little bit more oriented towards you guys. Dogaheimer, yeah. It's 4 a.m. as I'm typing this, trying to shake off the nerves. I had just fallen asleep after a night out at the bar celebrating my partner's friend's birthday. I woke up very suddenly to what I thought was the sound of my door trying to open. I thought I was crazy, but decided to send my drunk boyfriend to look through the peephole. He told me that there was a man standing right outside our door. At the same time, however, there was a woman taking her dog out to potty, so, being the drunk that he was, my boyfriend couldn't tell if these two were together. The situation didn't sit right with me, so I looked through the peephole, but the man was gone. I took watch for about 5 minutes, after which I heard some glass or ceramic break, and eventually I saw the man walking back in front of the door and around to the other side of the building. We have a corner apartment, so I peeped through the blinds on a living window to... Wait, a living window? What are my sleepy time meds? I just take magnesium. It's supposed to like calm your nervous system to help it relax. And it does seem to kind of like, chill me out. I have to do heavy squat tomorrow, and I'm kind of not looking forward to it. I know I should just like not think that way, but dude, last squat day, which was last Wednesday, we did like 425 for 5 reps, and I swear to God, I was just like, that was like pushing me to like the absolute limit. It was fucking really hard. So I guess it's only gonna be 3 reps tomorrow, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, like when you just kind of feel like you've reached not necessarily like a strength max, but just a point in which like, because like failing at squat, it's just like, you're not going to get hurt if you know how to bail appropriately, just like let the bar fall back while you go forward. But it's just like not fun to fucking be under that much pressure. We have a corner apartment, so I peeped through the blinds on a living room window to try and see him. I saw the man approaching a car right in front of my window, I got scared and stopped looking. I checked again, and he was gone. I then went to look through the bedroom blinds and saw him being handcuffed by a sheriff. We were able to catch the security guard's attention through our bedroom window, and he told us that he'd been suspicious of and following the man for quite some time. I really wish my dog was here. He's boarding because of our night out, and he would have scared that guy away with just his barks. Cool. Okay, well, I will be right back, and then we will continue with this last story. Maybe even check the subreddit for any other ones you guys may have submitted. Sorry, I had to take a shit. Alright. Last story. And this one's from Let's Not Meet. Hey, spooky man, let's not meet again. No thanks. Decent Reddit stories tonight. Yeah, they're actually not bad. The nice thing about tonight's stories, I feel like I don't have to, like, reorganize them as far as, I don't have to, like, reorganize them from scariest to least scary or whatever. I think I could just leave them as is, and it should be able to maintain people's attention. Methinks. Unless you heard one in there that you think should go more towards the end or whatever. I feel like the one about the guy in the drive-thru was not as scary as I thought it was going to be, but... Well, put it back. If you take a shit, put it back. Take a shit, leave a shit. At the 7-Eleven. What can you call the streamer? Me? Or is that a joke you're setting up? I love how you can change from jokingly funny voice to really serious in 1 second. Yeah, here, watch this. So I'm currently traveling southeast with my 2 brothers. Oh, that's Seattle. Fuck. So I'm currently traveling through Seattle with my 2 brothers. We just arrived in Saigon. Wait, oh, Southeast Asia, not Seattle. A little bit different. Spooky Mennonite with the 1 gifters to Ook. Welcome to the Butterstock Call, Ook. You now have access to bonus content. No first name, nickname. A lot of people call me Mr. Appliance. So I'm currently traveling through Southeast Asia with my 2 brothers, and we just arrived in Saigon this morning. In the evening after dinner and a few beers, me and my 2 brothers, older and younger, I'm the middle brother, decided to sit on a bench in Haidan Park and have a quick smoke. We were chatting away as we sat on the bench when I noticed a Vietnamese... Oh, that's right, Foof. Foof. That's my German name. Fuck. Fucking Foof, man. Fucking Foofy. We were chatting away, sat on the bench, when I noticed a Vietnamese man repeatedly looking at us and walking in circles very near where we were sitting. At first I wasn't concerned about him, however my spider senses were alerted. Then, a minute or 2 later, I noticed another Vietnamese man dressed as a Grab delivery driver? Is that the name of the delivery drivers? Southeast Oregon. They call me Mr. Water Heater. How old am I roughly? How old am I? Fuck. Fucking forget. Mr. Sliver Tongue. Oh, Silver Tongue. God dang it, Bobby. Then a minute or 2 later, I noticed another Vietnamese man dressed as a Grab delivery driver, acting suspicious and repeatedly looking at me and my brothers. Then, a minute or 2 later, I noticed another Vietnamese man dressed as a Grab delivery driver acting suspicious and repeatedly looking at me and my brothers. The stalkers were both on the phone, and I believe that they were communicating with each other. Being in a foreign country, my youngest brother told us to leave, however, it was a good 600-meter walk back to the park exit. As we were walking, I noticed both Vietnamese men had got on mopeds and were following us through the park, stopping behind trees and seemingly watching us. They then overtook us and sat at a bench further down the path, waiting for us to cross their path. Being aware of this, we left the path and started walking on the grass as the crow flies to the nearest exit, avoiding the men. We're 100 meters from the exit when my younger brother looks behind us to see one of the men sprinting towards us, and my younger bro took a fighting stance, standing his ground, the man. Shorty Meg, what's up? Where you been? $10,000 We're 100 meters from the exit when my younger brother looks behind us to see one of the men sprinting towards us. My younger brother took a fighting stance, standing his ground. My younger brother took a fighting stance, standing his ground toward the man, and yelled what he wanted. The man's posture became very small and he began talking very quietly. Both me and my younger brother kept a good distance and told him to leave us alone as we walked backwards towards the exit, noticing the second assailant also approaching us wearing motorcycle gear. However, my oldest brother decided instead of trying to get out of the situation, he got closer to the whispering Vietnamese man to hear what he was saying. Both me and my younger brother were yelling at him to just get the F out of here, and he was being an idiot, and he was being... What? Both me and my... Let me just put this through ChatGPT real quick. The grammar's really fucking dog shit right now. Big pile of dog shite. ChatGPT. Fix the following grammar. The content violates content policy, whatever. Okay. Both my younger brother and I were yelling at him to get out of the heat, but he was acting foolish. Both my younger brother and I were yelling at him to get out of here, but he was acting foolishly. It seemed like he was being coaxed into this. It only took the Vietnamese guy 5 seconds to gain my brother's trust. And then out of nowhere, when my brother leaned in very close, trying to hear what the man was saying, the Vietnamese guy grabbed my brother's crotch. My butters. Then, out of nowhere, when my brother leaned in very close, trying to hear what the man was saying, the Vietnamese guy grabbed my brother's crotch. My brother was shocked. I was ready to fight, expecting to be robbed or something, but the crotch grab was completely unexpected. After that, we started shouting and the men fled. For context, both my younger brother and I are competitive MMA fighters. I even posted one of my fights on Reddit if you want proof. However, the whole situation was unexpected and we didn't engage in any violence towards the men. We just shouted at them. Still, one of the weirdest nights I ever had. Shan, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you. Look what these writers do to the narrating industry. Exactly. Destroying us from the inside. Boo. It would be funny to just do these live and get booed. Boo! You fucking stink! Gee whiz, this guy stinks! Did you hear Shane Gillis' interaction with an Irishman in Dublin recently? No, I didn't. I saw that Shane Gillis had a new stand-up comedy show on Netflix, or act, or whatever. And I'm curious how that goes, how it is. All right, I'm gonna read this outro. You're gonna help me think of something to say at the end, huh? Oh, not that kind of boo. Oh, okay, just trying to spook me. Ah! Ah! Jump scare. Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Mischievous dog.
Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let'sReadOfficial, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data. Look at it anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, oh, brother, this guy stinks. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, oh, brother, this guy stinks. I don't know if I can do... I don't even know if that sounds like the guy. I can't really yell into that mic. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, oh, brother, this guy stinks. I should just put that sound effect and I should just download that sound effect and put it in there. That'd be pretty funny. Oh, brother. I want to have a pre-recorded outro and just add the remember part. You know, some things just make too much damn sense. Eunice, what's going on? Alright. We have completed our recording, but maybe we should just chill. We could just do a little just chatting. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. This guy smells like human shit. We can talk about anything, we can do anything, we can say whatever the hell we want. Joel should start an OnlyFans. Yeah, maybe one day. Do you think they do audio-based erotica? Is it erotica or erotica? Anal erotica? Plank or video, up to you, Joel. I don't want to plank, dude. Planking is lame. Also, I don't even think planking helps build abs. How do you even build abs? What the hell's up with the crotch grabbing? Why did that happen? I don't know. I guess those guys were just really horny. I don't know how things work in Vietnam, but maybe if you get horny, you just grab a crotch. You just go for it. Grab 'em by the crotchy. I finished my first load of scrambled egg and I'm not full. Your first load of egg? Does one make more or do I... Oh yeah, you're saying it like Shakespeare. Does one make more or do I not? Because I already had 3 eggs in the first load. Yeah, eat some more eggs. What the fuck? Or eat some nuts. Nuts always fill you up if you have them. Or sometimes when you eat stuff, your body takes a while to like send the, what's that, the lectin or whatever signals, the hormone that tells you you're not hungry anymore. It just takes a little bit. Planking helps with core strength in general. I think just doing the core lifts, squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, I think those help the core. And then maybe some like hanging knee raises or some shit. I don't know. Abs start in the kitchen. That's a good point too. You have to make your abs in the kitchen with that guy's eggs. There's always time for more egg. You're eating nuts? You're gargling on them? Thruss. Ever caught a mouse? Yeah, and like traps and stuff. Or like Pradeep. I remember one time we had like 4 field mouse babies in our kitchen at the old house. And Pradeep caught like 4 over the course of multiple nights. And I was like so proud of him. And he was so proud of himself too. I mean, he was just like, this was his thing for the night. Like, he's up during the night anyways, and this was his opportunity to hunt. And he was so patient. He just, because they were like camped out underneath the stove, and he was just sitting there all fucking night just waiting. He knew they were under there. He was very patient. And then when I would come out in the morning, there would just be a dead little mouse, and I'd be like, good job, buddy. Contradiction with the 10 Kitty says I'm about to watch One Piece live action without ever watching One Piece. That's cool. Maybe it'll motivate you to, go watch the anime if you like that one. I haven't really heard anything about the live action one per se. Egg is love. Egg is life. Abs are made in the kitchen. You know what else is made in the kitchen? Cake. If you love the role of any... Wait. If you get the role of any character for any movie, who would it be and what movie? Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter. No. I would want to be someone evil. I want to be a bad guy. I like bad guys. I think they're cool. I like bad boys. Someone with like a cool man voice. Who would it even be? I don't know. It would have to be like a voice thing. I do really like the guy who played, I think Boromir in Lord of the Rings. He was like the dad elf, the head elf. Also, it was really weird watching Lord of the Rings back on Sunday night and just realizing that movie fucking flies by. It's 3 hours, but it's just... It kind of almost feels a little bit disconjointed. It's just like from one thing to the next to the next. I guess that's why they needed 3 movies, but man, it moves fucking fast. Yeah, Dr. Eggman. Vegeta. Tyler Durden. Maybe not. Magneto. Yeah, I don't know how well I would do in like on-screen roles, to be honest with you. But the voice of something, I feel like I can encapsulate, perhaps. Brain, I was born in the dark. You were simply shut out, Batman. Do you feel in control? Yes, Sean Connery. Is Sean Connery still alive? I feel like he's going to be the 3rd dead actor. Because we had, the one guy. Well, we would need like a dead musician. Because we got, what's his name? Jimmy Buffett. And then you got the guy from Smash Mouth. Which, how the hell did he die? How old was he? Guy from Smash Mouth. Guy Fieri from Smash Mouth. I guess they do look alike. Rest in peace, Steve Harwell. He was not young. He was born in 1967. So he's in his 56, okay. Shorty Mag with the 5 says, I'm broke right now, so I'll give you my last few to you, Joel. Thank you for making me and everyone else laugh tonight. You're welcome, Shorty. Thank you. You don't have to do that, but appreciate you. Oh, alcoholism. Fuck, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Just alcohol, bro. Like, one of my buddies is like currently going through a divorce because of his significant other is dealing with alcohol related things. I mean, I won't go into any further details about who they are or whatever, but out of respect for them. But it's such a fucked up thing to watch because it's like so insidious, you know? It's like someone can seem pretty normal sometime or whatever, and then they just are in an never-ending need to consume this liquid. Such a strange thing. And it's weird too, because it's like we invented this shit, you know? We just like let some like sugars and barley and grains and all that kind of shit just fucking ferment, and we drink it. We're like, look at that, it's rotten. Let's see, we should drink it. Robbie Robertson? Was she an artist? Oh, it's a boy. I guess they were a musician. Alright, we got our third. Alright. The rule of 3. Always look for it. In all things, the point of obsession. High-functioning alcoholics. Yeah, maybe that's the way. So you can become a big musician, you gotta become an alcoholic. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Imagine being a sober king, but also on the top 40s charts. 2 weeks sober, and it's the best I've felt. 3 years of drinking every day. Dylan, I'm happy for you, man. Yeah, it's people. I've known people. You know, it just sucks. It's just like, hey, let's get fucking stupid as shit. You know, drinking. Not. This isn't directed to you, but just like friends. You know, that I see that destroy their lives with it. It's like, hey, let's. And you know, it's a physical addiction. I can't fully understand it because I haven't gone through it, but just that. As soon as you get home from work, hey, want to take a shot? Shot. How about 8 more to the point I'm a bloody mess, and my family hates me, and I bring out every piece of dirty laundry ever in the history of ever, and I'm always the victim. And I'm just giving the example of the person that I interacted with. It was just so sad. It's so fucking sad, and I really do hope they get their shit together. You love the chemistry of fermentation in general. That's cool. I wonder if there's anything else cool we could ferment. Maybe we could take some sodas and just dump them in like an old wooden log somewhere and check in on it every couple of months to see if it makes us wasted. Vanilla can get you pretty inebriated? Really? But if I drink hard liquor, I cannot stop. Oh, shit. Lost one of my best friends who was a severe alcoholic. He quit cold turkey. It killed him so sad. Oh, damn. So I guess that is, yeah. That and heroin are like the withdrawals that you go through and it really fucks you up. I remember a buddy of mine. He was a heroin addict, and he said that whenever he quit cold turkey, he would get into like a fucking ice bath, and like his temperature fluctuations in his body were like so insane that he would get into an ice bath and he would be like burning up, like still burning up even in the ice bath, or like sometimes get into a warm bath because he was like freezing and it would still be freezing. But he made it. He's fine now. I wouldn't say completely fine, but definitely better than what he was. I don't like booze, and it's so sad when people have the problem with it. They go through withdrawal and shake and have DT shakes. Yeah, man, it's fucked up, dude. I think the worst aspect of it is like they have like they mix their drinking with their psych meds too, and then obviously all the negative effects of just psych meds over time in general, and then mixing it with alcohol, and then detox medication, just so many medications, just like interacting with alcohol and just fucking rattling somebody's brain to the point that, there's so many chemical changes in their head that they are just not the same human being that they used to be even like a year prior. Just so fucking sad, dude. And I just feel terrible because she's got kids who are young, and it's my buddy's daughters. I fucking love them, I love them like my own kids. And they're incredibly resilient. They never really seem to even flinch at the negativity, but I mean, I guess I don't see all of it. But I just hope that, I don't know, I hope by the end of it that they still have a mom, to have, because losing your mother to alcohol or whatever it might be, especially in the process of like divorce and all that kind of stuff, it's just so fucking hard for a kid to go through and really even contemplate. He tried quitting heroin cold turkey. I made it 2 days and wanted to off myself. Yeah. Like, I know people that were on it, and it's like now, thankfully they made it to the other side, but they still need like kratom, that shit that you can get at the grocery store, or not the grocery store, you can get at the gas station, which is so fucking weird, because it sort of like has the same opiate receptors, it's just not as strong, and they constantly need like kratom available to them throughout the day just to like do a scoop of that in a drink or whatever it might be, just to help stave off those addictions. But it is like a good, I don't know, it just sucks because like sometimes they get people on like Suboxone to transition off, and then they're addicted to the Suboxone. So I guess if kratom helps to get people off the really hard shit that kills them, then maybe that is good. But I've had a friend, he got dependent on kratom for a little bit. Obviously, I'm not saying their names or anything, so not like giving away these people's lives, but it just sucked because it was so insidious in the fact that he didn't realize how addicted he was to it until he started getting withdrawals from it. But thankfully he's off of that now, but have I got a kids and a missus? Nah. Maybe one day. Anyways, any other positive things to talk about? You never understood why they don't use hypnosis on people with addictions. Yeah, maybe because hypnosis is just bullshit. I don't know. And I know what you mean, though. I mean, I'd like to imagine that it works, but anytime I've ever done hypnosis, I'm just like, this doesn't work at all. And I'm like even trying to do it with them, but I'm just like, I don't know. It was always weird because I remember like being at a school, getting called up on stage, had like 13, 14 people up there, me included, on stage, and like every one of them were doing like the chicken dance and like weird shit, you know what I mean? And then the guy comes up and like just taps me and says I can go sit down, and I'm like, okay, I guess I won't be hypnotized then. Fucking faker. You're a phony. You're a big fat phony. Positive things? We're in a scary story podcast, and that's for positive. Yeah. I just feel like, I mean, it's fine. I really don't care what we talk about. Honestly, we can talk about anything. Anything you can think of, I will talk about it. Just smoke ganja, trying to stop vaping. Yeah, it's tough. That shit, it's just weird. Everything sneaks up on you. Is alcoholism hereditary, like in the bloodline, handed down, terrible gift that keeps on giving or taking? People will say that thing, and perhaps, I mean, if all of our bodies are just like comprised of like genetics, obviously there's some sort of chemical process in us that reacts differently to alcohol, in the same way that like, a Native American person's genetics might react differently to alcohol compared to somebody from China. like all of our genetics are different, and there might be, some of us might have like a presupposition to addiction in that regard. Me, I've been kind of fortunate where it's just like I don't really like drinking because every time I do drink, I throw up. Like 100% of the time I drink, I throw up or I feel sick. It's like my body just like hardcore rejects it, which I'm fine with because, you know, I don't really want to be that person that like turns into a beast warrior when I get drunk. Yes! Let's just go out and strike down our foes that I will decide randomly, probably that homeless guy. Come here. Hey, yeah! You have anything new and exciting going on? Well, I told you guys about that gym that was investing in with my buddy and opening, and we're opening that probably within the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Predisposition. Did I say presupposition? I feel like I wouldn't have said supposition because that's a lot more syllables than my mouth is capable of. What does Joel believe in, religion or beliefs? Yeah, you know, I grew up Christian. I kind of got away from church more recently because I found it annoying and I was tired of feeling guilty. But I still pray a lot, you know, just because it's just kind of like one of those situations where it's like I don't make myself feel bad about it anymore because I just don't really think that's really conducive to much of a relationship with God if you do have one. And I don't really go too hard on it. I don't really go to church anymore. I don't really like try and like study things anymore because I pretty much heard all of it already. But I still communicate with God more in a way of just like, not necessarily in a sense of desperation, but just sort of in a like, how's it going, old friend? How's it going? My voice sounds fake. Good. That's how you know it's working. Where'd I get Pradeep from? It was my buddy's aunt's farm. She had some kittens on the farm, and Pradeep was the one that she like said would let her hold him, you know, on his back and just pet him till he would fall asleep on his back. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll take that one. We'll take the nice little boy who lets you hold him like a baby. But yeah, it was the weird thing. It's like sometimes I'll have like profound, not necessarily profound, but just sort of like a sensation of God that feels very personal in my like personal time, right? Whatever that might be. I don't know how to explain it physically. It's like a burst of electrical energy through my body or something like that that seems to be very hyper-specifically only occurring whenever I feel some degree of paranormal concept associated with it, including God. But then whenever I would go to like church and stuff, yeah, it would just, it's not that I dislike the people at all, it's just that suddenly that would like go away and it felt like I wasn't, not that I wasn't supposed to be there per se, but just I don't know, it just didn't feel right for some reason, and I don't exactly know why. Maybe I was just annoyed and I wanted to go sleep. You want to watch a scary thing? Yeah, let's watch some scary videos for a bit. We'll do Nuki's top 20s. If he's okay with that. He like makes a video like, fuck, let's read. Let's read, you are not allowed to watch any of my videos. You piece of shit. He doesn't even talk like that, I don't know why. Okay. Alright, let's get this going. We're gonna open up, we're gonna do a little, Oh, did you guys ever see the boxer Butterbean? Go watch Butterbean's highlights if you like watching boxing highlights. Dude, Butterbean is fucking insane. I think he might have been better than Mike Tyson. Maybe. Alright, elevator music. need like triple screens. Triple screen would be sick. I have 2 screens right now, but triple, man, that's when you know that you're a real streamer. But that's just me. Alright. Boinga boinga. Got that set up. We're gonna put on my reactions bullshit. Butterbean will destroy Logan Paul. That would be that would be so fucking satisfying, dude. Logan Paul versus Butterbean, and Butterbean like hits him in the head and his head explodes. That'd be so cool. I wonder if that could happen. We could organize that. We just gotta create some Twitter beef. Alright. Yeah, Jarvis. Jarvis would be nice. Very useful. Properties. Oh yeah, I gotta go full screen on that shiz. Okay, I guess we're good. Bing bong. Here we go! Spooky videos!
There's something in the basement. Nuke's Top 5 viewer Oliver reached out to me about a video he captured in his home in Twin Falls, Idaho. In his email, Oliver says that he recorded a video for his friends with plans to hold a sleepover that same night. In his video, he shows his basement and where he and his friends will be sleeping. But what happens next is literally like something from a nightmare.
Literally like from a nightmare. Here we go. Did I see it? I missed it. I saw a cat box. He's got a... Oh no, dude. I did not... Oh my god. That's beautiful. That was like the most beautifully scary bullshit ever. Shiver me timbers.
What the hell? As Oliver looks inside the bedroom,
Dude,
he sees a tall,
that was
dark
the-
figure standing inside the room.
That was the fucking
Startled
Hat
by
Man,
the
dude.
creepy apparition, Oliver
That was the
stumbles
full-on
back
Hat
before turning
Man.
on the lights and taking another look. But whatever was standing there seems to have just disappeared. What makes this footage even creepier is that when slowed down, it becomes clear that whoever or whatever this is seems to be wearing a hat.
Oh, he does.
So if you don't know, across the world, countless people have reported seeing a being known as the, quote, Hat Man.
Oh my god,
Although
dude.
some claim to have seen the apparition while fully awake, the Hat Man is known to terrorize victims of sleep paralysis. I asked Oliver if he had ever experienced sleep
God.
paralysis in his life, and he
Fucking Hat
explained
Man,
that
dude.
he actually did, but only when he was a child.
Oh my god.
So could Oliver have actually captured proof of the Hat Man's existence? Let me know what you
I mean,
think.
it could be fake, but it was a really good fake
Out
if
of
it
the
was.
mud. Earlier
A true
this year, the
gentleman
usually
ghost.
sunny town of Chosica, Peru suffered heavy rains and mudslides that washed through the city. The national news reported on the severe damage left behind and talked to residents
wait.
who have come together to clean
Did we watch
and
these?
rebuild the city. But
No,
there's
no.
something else in this news report that seems a bit out of place
Wait,
and downright creepy.
was it when? Yeah, when it was climbing up the steps or some shit, or no? Yeah, this is the steps one, or some fucking freaky ass thing. Yeah, it's like rah. Like, there's a homeless man needs our help.
see
Let's
it?
get out of here.
While the reporter is showing the water and mud rushing down the stairs, behind her, someone or something completely
Jesus,
covered
that
in
looks
mud
pretty-
appears to follow her.
What the fuck,
The
dude?
reporter doesn't notice the
She
bizarre
doesn't even
figure and
notice.
continues up the
Fucking
stairs
Spider-Man
as she
crawling.
finishes her report.
Yeah, it's like a drowning
The
man.
footage goes
Please
viral,
help
with many
me.
shocked viewers speculating the figure to be some kind of creature or monster. Either way,
El
whoever or
monster.
whatever it is seems to not be wearing any
monstera.
clothes, have any hair, and seems to have distorted features.
Ooh, yeah, he's got like
Obviously, it seems like any normal person
spindly
fighting
legs.
through these
Yeah, the
conditions
newscaster.
would be
Anyway,
at severe risk
moving
of
on.
being washed away in the flood, or at the very least becoming
Back to
very
you, John.
sick from the muddy, bacteria-filled water. So just who or what is this? Let me know
yeah, the
what you think.
newscasters always get the weirdest shit. Please help me.
Eye of the Jinn. This next creepy video was posted to
Jinn.
TikTok without a source. Some people speculate that
sure,
the
I
original
bet.
creator is none other than popular Jordanian ghost hunter Ehab Kasmia, who I featured many times.
Ehab?
But
Oh my
I've been
God.
unable
That's
to
the
find
Ghost
the original
Master, dude.
video, so I
He
can't
sucks them up into a
verify.
vacuum better than
However,
Luigi.
the short video is definitely very creepy.
Oh, that looks like him.
Gee.
Geek.
Bismillah
What the
ar-Rahman
fuck?
ar-Rahim. Bismillah.
Ew, man.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Rahim.
Bismillah. فكرت في إشي هون أخوان. ها؟
Oh my God.
سمعت الصوت؟
And they got sounds too.
صوت الباب. بسم الله.
Is there any way I can send a pic here of what looks like Hatman in my home? I don't think so. You could send it to the subreddit. reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial.
اسمع.
Yeah, just poke the eye. Just looking through the glory hole.
صوت الصراخ. اسمع.
A face can be seen staring through the
Oh
crack
my
of the door
God,
at
bro.
whoever is filming. They quickly run around the door, but there's no one there. Some believe the face to be that of a jinn, a shape-shifting, sinister
I mean,
entity
that's-
that seems to be toying with the explorer.
Like, it's always weird to know
Now,
what is
without the
authentic, because,
original
like,
source and video,
I
we
guess
just
technically
don't know
paranormal
exactly
shit could
what's
appear in
going
any
on
sort of
here.
way.
Is it a jinn caught on camera, or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide. We need scary videos. So
We
if you see
need
something that you think should be on News
So
Top
please,
5,
go
be
into a
sure to email us
graveyard
at
or an abandoned
newstop5@gmail.com.
mine shaft.
Email link in the description.
See what you can get.
Paranormal Nightmare. Paranormal investigators and brothers Josh and Sean Foreman from the YouTube
He looks
channel
like Hellboy.
Paranormal Nightmare TV series are contacted by a woman named Cheryl. Cheryl believes a demon is destroying her life. In a tragic series
Nothing
of
to do
events,
with
Cheryl's father
the
passed
pills.
away, and not long after, her fiance sadly took the lives of both of her children.
Oh shit.
Cheryl is now completely alone and lives in
Jesus.
absolutely
Oh, sorry.
horrible
I take back what I
conditions
said.
in a very bad neighborhood. In 17 years, Josh and Sean say that they've never encountered a case as tragic and dangerous as this. The brothers even feel that their own personal safety could be at risk in this investigation. But
Well, the fact that he could like
nevertheless,
zoom
they
in on
drive
that
to
one
Cheryl's
kid's
home
eye was
to
fucking crazy.
investigate.
Like, I've never seen a ghost
The
just
guys
like
soon
let you
begin
do
to
that.
Understand exactly why Cheryl believes that she might be dealing with a demon.
I hate God.
God.
And that's how you
It
know
said,
it's a
"I hate
demon.
God."
Not a fan of God.
Why do you hate God?
He's a jerk.
God is going to destroy you tonight.
What?
Where are you
Jesus.
at right now?
Maybe that's why.
Are you watching us?
God's not very nice to him.
Worthless bitch.
Worthless.
Whoa, nice.
Who's a worthless?
Dude, where do you get an app that like lets you text demons?
Come on, tell me who's a worthless?
You
I think
stinky
you're worthless.
fricker.
Possessed.
Possessed.
It's what we want.
Oh, no
It's what
way.
we want. What app are they using?
Possessed. That's what we want. Oh, something.
This
Turn
is
on. Go out there. Go.
Demons on
Something
speed
turn on
dial.
out there.
Is that what you're wanting to do to Cheryl? Are you wanting to possess her?
Yeah, that would be
Is that what
great.
you're trying to do?
Thank you very much.
Whoa, air. Something just blew on my neck. You stand on here, screw this. Yeah, something just blew on my freaking neck.
Right there.
What was it?
Something just grabbed my hip.
Something just grabbed my crotch.
I did not hit anything. Like right when I walked by, something just grabbed hold of my hip.
Something just dosey-doed
Two
me.
brothers receive very ominous replies through their spirit box, and Josh says something grabbed his hip. Sean begins to feel a pain in his stomach and takes a break outside in the car
I've
while
got
Josh stays behind.
demon in my guts. I gotta shit
Please
it out.
listen.
Holy shit, actually. Dude, what is this app?
Wow,
Does anyone
man.
know what this is?
Said, please listen, and then a huge freaking bang back there.
Okay, that's three
Okay,
times.
that one just-
3 times I've been touched.
Blew me a kiss.
Why are you touching me? I mean, these are not just like little touches. These are big f***ing touches.
Some big old gropers.
While Josh is completely alone, he hears 2 loud bangs coming from somewhere inside Cheryl's home, after which he is touched again. After a short break, the 2 brothers switch places, and whatever seems to be inside Cheryl's home seems to get very angry.
The app's called
Go
Flushies.
to hell, Sean.
Holy
Go to hell, Sean. You stink.
hell.
You smell and
Ew.
stink. I don't like your soul patch.
You're you. Oh my god, I'm not going to fucking hell. You are. You're going back where you fucking came from. Holy this is where I need fucking Josh.
In actuality,
Oh,
it's
my
you.
God. Yeah, well, I'd say we're definitely dealing with a freaking demon.
To end their
it's in
investigation, they
its
ask
back seat.
Cheryl to sit in the house alone and
my
attempt
God,
to
that
communicate
was
with
Cheryl?
what they now believe to be a demon. Josh and Sean sit outside in the car. What happens next
That demon just
scares
farted.
the living out of them.
Instant replay.
Me.
There
Running.
was
my
a
God.
huge fucking black shadow right next to the fucking window.
Ooga booga, Sean.
I
Ooga
looked over, there
booga.
was a huge black shadow right there next to the window.
Holy let's just get out of here. This.
A strange,
Sea
unexplained
creature,
dark
thank you.
mass
Good to
hits
see ya.
the car
Oh
window,
fuck! Wait,
giving
did we?
Sean the
Did we
jump
see it?
scare of a lifetime.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of a
And
shadow.
with that, the paranormal nightmare brothers have had enough. They
Mario and
cleanse the
Luigi are
home
out of here, bro.
And leave. Since the investigation, Cheryl says that she has no longer had any paranormal or demonic trouble in her home or in her life. You can watch this entire investigation
Since they
over
suck
on the
the
YouTube
ghost into
channel,
their phone.
Paranormal Nightmare TV series.
Wait, do we know? Did anybody type know what
Ghostly
the app
Death.
was called?
Cassie O'Malley from Lamont, Illinois loves monkeys. So
Oh.
when one day she receives a monkey doll
She's
as a
kind of
gift,
a monkey
she's
girl.
absolutely thrilled.
What the fuck?
That is, until she opens the box.
Loves monkeys a little too much.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god, this thing just fucking looked at me. Oh my.
For a split second, the creepy monkey doll seems to look directly at Cassie.
Oh my fucking god, dude.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god,
She's
this
like-
thing just fucking looked at me.
The
Oh my-
monkey's
Cassie
like,
says
oh
she's
Jesus,
tried
get a load
everything
of
to
this
debunk
bitch.
what she captured on camera, but she hasn't found anything to explain it. After this recording, the doll
Dude.
hasn't stirred up any trouble.
What the fuck?
So for now, Cassie is keeping the creepy little monkey doll proudly on display in her home.
Can you guys buy me
But
a little
what would you
orangutan
do with
doll?
a gift if it did this?
Dude, that was
Let me
creepy.
know down in the comments.
Just get a quick peek, like, what the fuck?
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god, this thing just
Even
fucking
the-
looked at me. Oh my.
Not Home Alone. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of videos these days, this next video was shared to the internet without a source. The video shows a woman alone at her home, which is said to be somewhere in Mexico. The woman says that she's been experiencing disturbing, unexplained activity in her home.
Chunky monkey.
Porque hace unos días yo sentí que había algo,
I just bought a new monkey doll.
pero hace
And
rato
things have been starting to get weird.
con una sombra. No sé. Vean, vean, vean.
Wait, what was it?
Ay, Dios. Yo realmente estoy
Dios
solo.
mío.
Vean.
It's just like in there. The ghost is like, oh, sorry.
Estoy yo. No se puede meter nadie aquí por la puerta. No, realmente estoy solo. Ni debajo de la cama, de hecho el espacio es muy... Vean.
Oh, it's behind him now? What the fuck, dude? Dude, this has to be fake. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's fake. Just call everything that I don't want to be afraid of fake.
Se pueden ver
You're
desde
fake!
solo.
You're a big fat phony.
No hay nada, no hay nadie. En casa. No hay nadie. De hecho, hace días yo compré este trozo.
You bought a troll?
porque
What
se
the fuck?
supone que
It's like
aleja
Osama
toda
bin
energía
Laden
negativa.
troll.
Pero ya lleva varias noches pasando esto.
Where do you even just casually pick that up at Spencer's?
Of the closed door of the woman's bedroom, but when she looks, there's no one in the room. Suddenly, the figure
Dude, get me
appears
the.
again, but this
I
time
want the
outside
orangutan
of the
doll,
bedroom.
and I want that.
Again, the woman hurries out to search her home, but again, she finds nothing and no
Troll
one
bin Laden.
to explain the creepy shadow. Unfortunately, without a source, we can only guess
Necrophonic
what
is a good
happened
app
to
for the
woman
spirit box.
and her creepy shadow visitor.
Be honest, I don't even know if I would ever
So
download that.
after
I'd be
many
too freaked
requests
out.
And 8 months later, Nuke's Top 5 merch is back.
Let's
We got
go!
shirts, we got hoodies, we got
Shirts,
coffee mugs, we got
hoodies.
stuff for your dog, we got stuff for your cat.
Belly button
We got
rings.
stuff you probably
butter
never
socks.
even wanted to begin with, but nevertheless,
Breath
we've
mints.
got it. So be sure to check out the all-new merch store
Ouija
at
boards.
nukestop5.com. Tunnel of Death. Paranormal investigator Kuro from the YouTube channel Black
Challenge you to
Stories
make a
contacted
paranormal
by a
footage
man
convince
named
us that you
Takun
have
about an allegedly
paranormal
haunted
experience.
abandoned
I do
tunnel
have a
near
clip
where
on
he
here
lives in
of
Wakayama Prefecture, Japan.
some creepy
The
shit.
tunnel was constructed in the late 1800s
sounded
and
like
has
somebody
become
walking.
infamous for its countless suspicious deadly accidents.
Rydell Rising.
Witnesses driving through the tunnel
Welcome back
have
for
reported
30
seeing another car
months.
with the
Says, hey
pale
Joe, love you, buddy.
apparitions of
Thank
a
you for
man
making
and
my night
woman
sleep
in the
easy.
front
Also,
seat.
Bizarre Bub
These
makes
apparitions are
for
said
some
to
good
haunt
creepy
you for the
compilation.
rest
Gotta
of your
work in
life
2 hours. Night,
if you
guys. Hey,
look
night,
them in the eyes.
Rydell. Yeah, we actually
Another
watched
local
Bizarre
ghost
Bub a
tale
few
says
times
that
on
a
here. They
woman
kind of do a
passed
lot
away
of
in a tragic accident in the
crossover
tunnel.
stuff.
It is said that her spirit appears on the tunnel road. Dressed
Oh, at first I thought the audio wasn't working. I was like, oh shit, that would
Kuro
have
meets
been
up with Takun, and even though
Get a
it's
Chucky
storming,
doll.
they decide to investigate the
Ugh,
tunnel
I almost feel like the
together.
Chucky doll is like less
Because
creepy
of
than the
bad
goddamn
storm, Takun
orangutan.
waits in the car while Kuro explores the tunnel
And that
in
fucking
search of paranormal
ISIS
proof.
troll.
But strangely enough, it's Takun
That monkey did
who's
look fucking
all
real.
alone in the car who experiences something truly
You do a false
bizarre.
accusation story compilation. I've been looking at various ones on Reddit and they're intriguing. I do remember reading a story about this. Maybe a few stories about people getting falsely accused for stuff, but I don't really come across enough of those to make a whole compilation. But it would be an interesting topic. It's a very sad topic, I guess. One that you would never want to happen.
A soft female voice can just barely be heard, and in Japanese, the voice seems to whisper,
Oh shit.
Kaeru, which translates to, go home.
Oh my god. Dude, why is... I don't know, dude. Japanese ghosts are just like too fucking scary
Meanwhile,
for me,
Kuro
dude.
is all alone somewhere in the middle of the tunnel, and he too experiences something he just can't explain.
The monkey shining from Puppet Master. Yeah, it did kind of look like Puppet Master shit. In Puppet Master, there's so many of those movies. Do the puppets kill people? Wait, is there someone there?
Now, it's not audible because of the loud storm, but Kuro swears that he heard a voice and footsteps loud enough to send him running back to the car. What makes this even creepier is that Kuro did in fact catch something on camera not long before he hears
You ever
the
drop
voice
link for
and
people to join you?
footsteps. But it
Wait,
isn't
join
until
me or
he's
what?
home that he realizes what he captured.
Sorry.
And it's absolutely chilling. This is the footage.
Oh, you can kind of hear the... Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's the wind. I like that mask, though. Ooh! Wait, what was it? We'll get you. Oh my god, dude. No fucking way.
A pale, disfigured face of what looks like a woman can be seen right behind Kuro, and the investigator doesn't see or hear anything.
Oh my god,
When
bro.
reviewing his own footage, Kuro wonders if he caught the spirit of the woman who passed away in an accident on camera, and whether she was the one warning them to go home. Kuro says that this
Go to
is the
Japan
most
in 2
terrifying
months.
proof of the paranormal.
Dare me to go to
that
haunted
he's
places in
ever
Japan?
captured.
I do dare you.
What do you
Kama-
think happened here?
Kamakichi.
Let me know down in the comments.
Dude, I think that's
You can
legit,
watch this
honestly.
entire investigation over on the YouTube channel Black Story,
Black Story.
called Live
Hey, Fry.
on Camera. Popular TikTok creator Millie
Embarrassing
George
funny
is doing her
stories.
makeup one
I
night
have
when
them
she
before
decides
now.
to go live to chat to her followers. It's late at night and she's home all by herself when her viewers spot something in the background that shocks her to her core.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the live,
Wait.
so, right, 1 minute I'm doing my makeup in the mirror,
Who's that laying on his couch right
doing
now?
Nothing, and then
Is that like a
then
nun?
everyone's like, "Oh, someone just walked in your house. Someone just
Is
walked
this
in your house." And I was
Granny?
like, "Stop winding me up! No one's walked in my house. Like, stop winding me up." And then I walked over to the back door.
Yeah.
I'll show you the back door now. Look,
Alright.
I walked over to the back door.
Yeah.
So this is how the camera works. The camera was like this in
Yeah.
my house, and you can see the back door there.
Yeah.
There's a reflection there. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have an automatic sensor when you walk out my back door that the back door light comes on.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just got the door again. So like, look, and you can see everything in the garden. Okay? I'm locking the fucking door again. Right, I'm now going to show you the CCTV footage on my phone.
I gotta stream
from
on-
my fucking
on-
live.
CCTV footage.
From the live. I've got it
CCTV.
downloaded. Download the live.
What? And what was you supposed to have seen? Someone else?
This was
CCTV.
5 nights ago, by the way. Yeah, no,
This
look,
was Five Nights at
look.
Freddy's.
Okay, so, all right.
Yeah.
Let me
I'm
do
watching. I'm watching.
We're watching. We're all watching.
Right, the door opens. Wait. I'm gonna zoom in.
Oh no way! How
Wait,
did your door open?
Wait,
It's
what just
glass, you
happened?
can see through
Oh,
the
it's
door,
open.
look. There's no one there.
Joking.
Azora Pink, welcome back for 7 months.
Bro, this is like the ring.
Thank you, Azora.
And
Yeah,
then
what the
no,
fuck?
it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse, mate. I don't know what to do. I'm actually shitting myself. Look.
Oh my god, you're joking.
Wait,
You're
what the
lying.
what the
No,
frick?
you're joking. Oh my god, you're joking.
I don't know what to do. I'm actually shitting myself.
Oh!
Oh my god, you're joking.
What the fuck?
You're lying.
What's he got around his
Look,
neck?
there's a fucking head.
No, you've edited
That's a
that.
full-on
You have
head,
to have
bro.
edited that.
How have I edited it? It's come up
Where's the little
online.
Chinese kid in
Oh
there?
my
And then
god, bro.
I then walk over. At this point, I then walk in,
That does look
I walk
oddly.
over to the door, 'cause
No,
everyone was saying
that
there's
can't
someone
be
behind me.
edited. No,
and this doesn't show on the live. It's been cut.
I say that
and
from
I'm
no
straight
experience
outside again.
whatsoever.
So it's like the camera stopped
Bro,
working.
why is there a Chinese ghost in your yard, bro?
Shocked by what
Cause,
she's
bro.
seen, Millie shows her friend Tommy what was captured on her live broadcast. She shows that she was facing a wall during her live stream and didn't have eyes on the back door. The door seems to open by itself, and
That's
Millie's
fucking crazy, and then
motion-sensing
instantly a
backdoor
little kid
light
comes in.
just doesn't turn on for some reason. Then,
feel like, can ghosts let
creepiest of
themselves
all,
in like
a little
that?
girl who Millie has never seen before.
I mean, it does kind of
can be
look like
seen just walking through the
superimposed, like the
house.
lighting's really off,
Millie
but
claims that she was
at the
home
same
all
time, I
alone
wouldn't
that
imagine
night
like a
and has
ghost
no idea who or
following
what
typical
this
lighting.
is. So, what do you think?
That's fucking creepy as
Is
shit.
this a real ghost caught on camera? Or
The
is
ghost
it
can keep
all
the house.
just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
I'm here for your undies. For your
Sanhaven Sanatorium. In the early 1900s, the Sanhaven Sanatorium in North Dakota opened its
oh my
doors
God.
as a treatment center
Jesus.
for tuberculosis patients. In later years, the sanatorium became a mental asylum. But the Sanhaven Sanatorium
Lots of
soon
rocking
gained a
chairs.
reputation for horrible mistreatment of patients. The hospital was forced to close in the 1980s. It is estimated that over 1,000 people have lost their lives inside these walls, including a 17-year-old boy who fell down an elevator shaft in 2001.
Yikes.
In a tragically ironic twist, the boy was actually on a ghost hunt in the building at the time.
Looked like a cut
The
and
abandoned
paste. Oh
structure
yeah,
is
that
falling
face
apart, and
did
it's
seem
very
kind of
dangerous
strange.
to wander around inside. Paranormal investigator Ian from the popular
Ian.
YouTube channel Midwest Ghost Hunter is determined to explore the sanatorium
That's Ian,
in
baby.
hopes of capturing evidence
We stand with
of the
Ian.
paranormal. It's late at night as Ian begins his investigation. Things almost immediately.
What's one food if you had
start
two you
to
could
get
have every day?
weird.
Ooh, shit. Probably steak and eggs. And mixed berries. Oh shit. Oh my god, those are high heel footfalls.
Damn, these stairs.
Oh yeah, he's gotta be careful. Fucking crash through that shit. What's it say? Gang gang. What's it say? Applesauce? Oh, applause.
Ian is a bit shaken up by the strange, unexplained footsteps, but he tries to keep calm as he continues to
Sashimi?
explore.
You would eat sashimi every day? Sashimi doesn't have any taste, though. Oh, no, dude, no! As you get closer to it, it just fucking opens for you. Do not walk in there,
As
Ian.
creepy as that was, I did feel a gust of wind when that happened.
It's like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, sexy ghost with high heels.
See, look at that. See?
What the oh, okay, okay.
Holy shit.
Okay. I was
Still
gonna say.
creepy as hell.
A door creepily opens by itself, but Ian is quick to point out it was just the wind.
And then as you can see here, it was
However,
also pushing around a bunch
Ian
of high
starts
heels.
to hear odd noises from somewhere nearby. He goes to check it out, and something happens that he simply can't explain. Something truly chilling.
Hello?
Why is he there by himself? Dude, people who do this by yourself are fucking bonkers.
What was that?
What was that? It was like an explosion of light. Those are
I think I just
those.
saw something.
What the hell? Orb anomaly. Yeah, that was like, it almost looks like added post effect kind of thing. I'll be honest with you.
Could you appear like that again?
No. I'm gonna be Pennywise. Dude, I'm telling you, a ghost video game would be so fucking good because you would use your like scare points of like scaring people, the energy you get
God,
from
dude,
that,
it is cold
to like
over
do
here.
like creepier and creepier shit.
Oh my god, I just went into that room.
That room. That roomian.
Dude, it just flew into here.
I don't know, that looks
What the-
really like, it just looks really out of place. Like it, like look at that. That just looks like a lens flare, but I guess maybe orb anomalies could appear as such, but it just looks so strange.
Dude,
Maybe because I've never seen them before.
that was crazy. I just saw you.
You can't even play a horror video game alone.
Did
Yeah,
you just
dude. Me
go
neither,
into
let
this
alone
room?
fucking like walk into Dracula's lair. Oh, brother, you gotta get out of there.
Now.
My boy. Red rum. Dude, I've had that idea for a video game forever where like, I don't know exactly how you progress. Maybe you're just like a ghost in different like pre-made levels. No, dude. Oh my Christ. Whenever like a
Did you speak
ghost
again?
is frustrated with you,
I think I just heard you.
maybe she's just going about her day-to-day life. I've always
Oh!
What did it say?
Oh my god. Okay, you really spooked me there. I did not expect that. Oh!
Oh, she knocked. Okay.
Oh my god.
Stream Phasmophobia.
Okay,
I
you
played it
really
a few
spooked me
times.
there. I
It
did not
definitely
expect
freaked me
that.
out.
Did you just knock on a wall?
This one seems fake to you. There is a bit of an oddity to it, like all of these sounds could have
Did you
been
knock on it
made.
again?
And then the orb bullshit seems a little bit out of
She
place.
is communicating with me right now.
Ian is excited about what he's just captured, and he believes a spirit is trying to communicate.
Just because like whenever you have a ghost YouTube channel where all you do is find shit on film or like explore abandoned shit, you're always like incentivized financially to just like, you know, fake the ghost things. So are you following me? I have Instagram. Yeah, exactly.
Communicate with him. But as he continues to
Are
explore,
you guys following
something
this ghost on
happens that quickly
Instagram?
turns his excitement
She's thick as fuck.
into pure terror.
Hello?
Ooh.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I don't know what that was. It didn't sound like screaming.
Oh god.
Let me run towards the scream. Oh, help me. Oh, dude. Oh my god.
The investigator
That was a
shaken out
different
by
ghost, bro.
disturbing plea for help.
Ugh.
Especially since he's near the elevator shaft where
That was
22
creepy
years
as
ago
fuck.
another ghost hunter fell to his death.
A ghost hunter?
Ian is determined to capture more
Guys, you
paranormal
guys,
evidence,
whoever I told
so
earlier
he
to go
continues
to
explore
a
the
abandoned
creepy
haunted place,
hallways and rooms.
I take it back.
Eventually, he decides to take some photos down
Your
one
dad
of the
watched
long
Ghost Hunter. I always thought it
hallways,
was fake.
and things
Yeah, the
start
Ghost
to
Hunter
get
shit is definitely not as good as the YouTube channel shit.
Pictures down this hallway.
The YouTube channel stuff is just like so much better than
A lot of people say
whatever
they
the
see
fuck Ghost
shadow
Hunters
figures.
is.
Basically, in
See
all
stick
areas of this
figures.
place.
Sound like a fox, probably. Help me! I'm a fox. I'm a
hoping to
fucking
catch
fox.
one
I'm stuck in the
in
elevator
a
shaft.
photo.
Only thing about Ghost Hunters, I don't remember a single episode where they ever actually saw anything
If
cool.
there's anybody down this hallway,
Like definitely didn't like that
Could you
one
appear for
Japanese
me?
dude had that like woman's face over his shoulder. I don't recall that ever happening on Ghost Hunters.
what was that?
Wait, was it Ghost Hunters or MILF Hunters?
Sounded like a breath.
Ghost MILF Hunters. Was that his cough?
Was that you?
It wasn't me. That sounds great. It's like it's mimicking his
Hearing
voice,
noises
kind of.
all around me right now. Whoa, I think I got something on
Oh
here.
my
It looks
gosh.
like a figure.
It's like a fart cloud.
Oh my god, and it's gone. Dude, I just caught something. It was
In
by
my
that window.
Pokeball.
Holy shit.
I thought he was about to do a dance. It looked like he was about to do like a little jig. He's about to do a crip walk out of that place.
Holy crap. Are you standing by this window? Holy crap. That was so freaking cool. Could you appear again?
Sure. Ah! Oh my god, what was that? You got like a double
Whoa,
thing there. That
dude.
was.
I just got that in the freaking camera.
Dude, he's way too happy to be around this shit. That is kind of crazy. A ghost hunter fell
A
down a
disturbing
fucking
white figure
shaft.
appears in a photo, and then Ian catches a bizarre white mist on camera in the exact same window. So did Ian capture evidence of the paranormal? Could the ghostly coughing, pleas for help, and the unexplained apparitions belong to the patients that died
Well, see,
in
dude,
the sanatorium?
Look at this.
So did Ian
Watch.
capture...
Okay, ready? When they say the unexplained apparitions, it's very strange because the camera's kind of shaky, right, with his hand. The orb energy bullshit moves with the shakiness of his hand. So here, watch this.
evidence of the paranormal? Could the
Not
ghostly
that part.
coughing, pleas for help, and
Right
the
here.
unexplained
Right here.
apparitions belong to the patients that died in the... So did Ian capture evidence of the paranormal? Could the ghostly coughing,
Watch
pleas
the
for
shakiness
help,
of the
and
camera right here.
unexplained apparitions belong to the patients that
It just seemed like it fades in, fades out, but it's like moving in conjunction with his camera a little bit, so it almost feels as if though it's like, you know, superimposed on, which I've also never really seen. I don't know, ghosts manifest in that like fashion. Just like, I mean, you've heard of the orbs thing, but well, I don't know. I guess there's always
died in the sanatorium.
time to find new
Let
shit.
me know what you think. You can watch this entire investigation with even more bizarre paranormal moments over on the YouTube channel
Midwest Ghost Hunter with Ian
from above. A security camera in San Vicente, Chicoloapan, Mexico, captures something very
Chicoloapan.
strange in the middle of the night.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. It's a little boy with a Halloween costume on. What is going on? The dogs are not happy. That's fucking weird, dude. That's like that little ghost dog from Nightmare Before Christmas floating around. What is this thing? Huh. Oh, wow, you get a full fucking... Oh, it's just floating and shit.
The figure seems to float down from the sky,
Wait.
frightening a pack of dogs as it makes its way across a parking
Is it a drone?
lot. And then it almost seems to change into an odd black figure.
I guess it does take a different
The footage
shape.
went viral with many viewers wondering just what this bizarre shape could possibly be. Some speculated that it might be something paranormal, or possibly even something alien.
Yeah,
But
it's really
just
fucking
what do
strange.
you think it is?
The way that it floats
Thank
like
you
that,
so
it
much
almost
for
like
watching.
think
If you haven't already subscribed,
somebody
do
had
it
like
now,
a sheet
and
over
then
top of
also
a
turn on
drone.
all notifications
I
so
don't
you
know.
never miss a video. You can also follow me on the socials and just say hi there, Nuke.
Hey,
Anyway,
Nuke, here's my
hopefully I
wiener
will see
pic.
you next video.
All right. Well, thanks, Nuke's top biggest nukes. Beedaloo. That's probably an alien. Probably. Nuke's content is so hit and miss, and also that Nuke and Bizarre Bubble upload almost at the same time, and with a lot of the same content. Prefer Bizarre Bubby's less dramatic. That's true too. Yeah, I guess it just. I'm sure they all like crossover. Same with Slap Tam. You know, they probably all just use and you know, Chills, all those people. That's what I'm saying. You guys need to start a channel where you just do that shit if you have like any level of decent editing. Well, my friends, thank you for the good time. It is 2 minutes to 4 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States of America, and I should probably be getting a little bit of rest just for my own sake tomorrow, so I'm not kicking myself in the arse getting a late start. But yeah, you guys rock. Thanks for hanging out. I will be getting these up and edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and then yeah, I'll be back streaming on Thursday. Today's Tuesday, my dudes. Also, new let me make sure I posted that actually. New podcast is up every Tuesday at noon. That seems to be doing well, so that's good. It's called Unexplained Mysteries. It's got some unexplained mysteries in there. And yeah. We're gonna get jiggy with it, and then this video, these Reddit stories will be up on YouTube. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. EST. Appreciate if you guys hit the all notifications on the bell and watch it right when it comes out. And make me a trillionaire! Woohoo! From one video. And yes, I will catch all of you in the next one. Sleep well, sleep tight. Be well to all those around you. And don't get too caught up in the hype. It's all a bunch of garbledygook. Good night, friends. Love you, appreciate you. Goodbye.